One, the school bully grabs Logan's class queen girlfriend right in front of everyone. But this time he keeps his hands stuffed firmly in his pockets. In his past life, those exact fists had smashed Tyler Hayes' mouth to defend Madison Cole, costing Logan his entire future. Under a massive disciplinary mark right before the SAT, the most crucial exam of his life. So when Madison screams his name like he is still her personal bodyguard, Logan just smiles, turns around, and walks away. The classroom goes dead silent. Tyler is still gripping Madison's wrist. The guy is tall, athletic, and permanently wears that smug, rich kid expression. It says every single hallway. Westbridge High belongs to his family, which honestly is pretty close to the truth. His father, Dean Hayes, runs the school's discipline department, and Tyler has been exploiting that safety net so long he treats school rules like absolute jokes. Madison stumbles backward from him, face flushed, eyes already tearing up. She has the perfect timing. The angle and the victim act completely ready before the room can even process the scene. In Logan's past life, seeing that tearful look would have instantly made him lose his mind. He would have charged right across the room before anyone could stop him. Tyler would laugh, Logan would swing, and the room would explode. For about 10 seconds he felt like an absolute hero. Then the staff arrived. Madison sobbed in the office and claimed she never wanted him to fight. Tyler's buddies swore Logan was just jealous. Mr. Morrison, their homeroom teacher, lectured Logan that senior year was too critical for emotional outbursts. Then Dean Hayes arrived wearing an expression of righteous disappointment, acting as though his own son had not provoked the entire clash. Logan wrote. The apologies took the school-wide blame and swallowed his pride. That black mark followed him straight into the final, critical months right before the SAT. He missed massive opportunities he should have claimed. Logan's mind never settled again, and the test meant to change his life became a brutal lesson in how expensive a single punch could be. But the real punchline came after graduation. Madison, the girl Logan had ruined his future defending, instantly started dating Tyler Hayes and eventually married him. So when Logan opened his eyes and woke up back in this exact classroom watching the same drama unfold, he did not feel heroic. He felt awake. Madison calls out to him. The whole class stares at him like he just committed a crime by refusing to play his role. Someone in the back whispers, "Is he seriously just leaving?" Tyler's mouth twitches in clear disappointment. That is the very first win of Logan's second life. Tyler had laid out the trap, but Logan just looked at it, yawned, and walked away. Logan makes it halfway to the hallway before Madison catches up and grabs his sleeve. She asks him what is wrong with him, her voice trembling loudly enough for the entire class to hear. She points out that he saw what Tyler did. Logan looks down at her hand on his sleeve. In his previous life, he would have heard pain in her trembling voice. Now all he hears is instruction: stand here, get mad, hit him, take the fall. Logan simply says he saw. Madison's eyes widen as she demands to know why he walked away. He replies, because his legs work. A few students standing in the doorway gasp. In shock, one guy lets out a half laugh, choking it back the moment Madison turns her teary eyes on him. She drags Logan deeper into the hallway, lowering her voice to ask if he is mad at her, admitting Tyler was disgusting, but warning him that if he walks away like this, everyone will think he is a coward. Underneath her trembling act, protecting her image was her top priority. Everyone, Logan asked. Madison bit her lip, whispering that he was her boyfriend. That word landed far softer than it should have. In his past life, he had lived on mere crumbs from that word, a smile. In the hallway, a late-night text, a casual praise that he understood her better than anyone, just enough sweetness to keep a fool walking into fire. He pulled his sleeve out of her fingers. Funny, Logan said, when trouble shows up, he is her boyfriend, but when the teacher asks who started it, he becomes some random guy with serious anger issues. Her face stiffened. That is not fair, she whispered. You are right. Fairness left the room when Tyler touched her, and somehow he became the scapegoat everyone wanted to punish. Madison blinked rapidly, tears gathering. Again, she was good, he had to admit. If crying had an entrance exam, she would have gone straight to an elite university. She protested that she did not ask Tyler to do that. He knew. Relief flashed across her face. Then he added that he did not ask to be her shield. Her hand froze right in midair. Behind them, Tyler leaned against the classroom door like he owned the whole building. He scoffed, calling Madison's boyfriend completely useless. The old Logan would have turned around, but the current Logan just looked at him and smiled. He told Tyler to raise his hand in class if he wanted attention so badly. It was free, the hallway fell silent. A few students snickered before fear took over. Tyler's face darkened, Madison's tears stopped instantly, which revealed far more to Logan than her crying ever could before. Tyler could retaliate, the teacher's voice cut sharply down the hall. Logan Miller. Madison Cole, Tyler Hayes' office right now. The school machine had woken up, inside. The office, the air smelled heavily of old tea, chalk, and adult. Authority, Mr. Morrison sat behind his desk, with his fingers tightly pressed together. Madison stood to one side with lowered eyes, while Tyler leaned near the window, already completely bored. Logan stood in the center, already feeling like the verdict was decided. Mr. Morrison sighed, noting that senior year was a critical period for Logan. He asked why a straight-A student was causing trouble now. Logan almost admired. Talk about fast, they skipped the investigation and went straight to disappointment. Logan asked what trouble he had actually caused, making the teacher frown. He told Logan not to play games, claiming Tyler felt provoked by him. Madison called it a misunderstanding, but the entire hallway witnessed the confrontation. Logan countered that everyone also saw Tyler grab Madison. Tyler clicked his tongue. Muttering he was just joking, Logan dryly noted he was laughing on the inside. Mr. Morrison slammed the desk lightly, not enough to terrify but enough to assert his authority over the room. He snapped at them to stop, declaring that even if Tyler acted inappropriately, Logan's attitude was entirely unacceptable. He embarrassed his classmate, speaking sarcastically and disrupting order. Logan nodded slowly, so Tyler gets aggressive. Madison drags him in and his own attitude is the actual emergency. Madison looked up, questioning why he spoke like that, insisting she did not drag him into anything. He just stared. The office fell dead silent. In his pocket, his phone felt heavier than usual. He still had the text she sent before class, complaining about Tyler's constant harassment, and desperately begging Logan to stay close because she was so terrified. He was terrified. In his past life, he never showed it, believing protecting Madison meant taking the blame. That was how a guy turned himself into a total doormat. Mr. Morrison opened his drawer and pulled out a blank school form. He lays out the plan. Logan needs to write a sincere 1,500-word self-reflection, apologizing to both Tyler and Madison for escalating things. The teacher promises that if Logan cooperates, he can keep this from becoming a massive disciplinary problem. It felt like the universe gift-trapped a victory. Same room, same trap, but a totally different guy now. No. Logan says. Mr. Morrison stares back, asking him what he just said. Logan repeats that he is not writing it. Tyler immediately perks up by the window, suddenly interested. Madison's face changes so fast it almost makes him laugh. Panic. First, then rage, and finally that soft pleading look she always used to get other people to bail her out. Logan, she says quickly, do not be stubborn, just write the paper. Since this is senior year, she asks if he really wants trouble. That is exactly why he refuses to write it. Mr. Morrison's tone quickly hardens, asking if he understands the consequences of defying a teacher's orders. Logan understands consequences better than anyone in this room. For just a second, his voice sounds completely flat. The old exam hall flashes behind his eyes, along with his shaking hands, the blank test paper, and the memory of his mother's deeply tired smile, pretending his terrible score did not break her heart. The sudden humor dies in his throat. Naturally, Mr. Morrison does not notice. Adults like him rarely see the human side, only compliance. Fine, the teacher snaps. Since Logan refuses to cooperate, he will call his mother. Madison instantly goes pale, which catches Logan's attention. Mr. Morrison picks up the office landline and searches for Mrs. Miller's number in the database. While it rings, Madison takes a step closer. Logan, she whispers, can you stop making things worse? For who? He counters. She just gapes, silent. Perfect. His mother arrives 20 minutes later, still wearing the casual cardigan she threw on in a rush. Her face is tense with worry, and that sight truly hurts him. He could easily laugh at Tyler, laugh at Madison, or even laugh at Mr. Morrison's fake fairness, but he cannot laugh at his mother walking into the high school, fearing her son has turned into some troublemaker, fighting over girl. Logan, she says softly, pulling him aside to ask what happened. Mr. Morrison interrupts, claiming the whole situation is already crystal clear. Then let my son speak, his mother firmly replies. The office goes silent. She is not loud, but that quiet strength works perfectly. Logan pulls out his phone, opening their chat to show her. He explains how Madison messaged him before class, claiming Tyler was harassing her and that she was terrified. Logan catches himself mid-sentence, adding that he thought. She wanted his help, yet when things got messy, she pretended he just intruded. His mother reads the message twice, her fingers tighten around his phone turning directly toward the girl by the desk. She demands if Madison Cole sent it. Madison's eyes fill with tears as she stammers. She claims she was scared and never meant for Logan to misunderstand. His mother's voice sharpens. She asks how Madison could beg him for help, then let the teacher treat him like the troublemaker. Tyler snorts, muttering that it is just a text and nobody told Logan to play boyfriend. Logan shoots him a glare, saying nobody told Tyler to act like a handsy clown either, but here they are. Mr. Morrison snaps directly at Logan. His mother stares the teacher down, arguing that Logan has proof Madison asked him for help. Tyler even admitted his touching was just a joke, so why is Logan the only one forced to write a reflection? For the very first time, Mr. Morrison looks uncomfortable. The look lasts barely 2 seconds. He finally speaks to Mrs. Miller, explaining that Madison should not have sent a vague message, and Tyler's joking was inappropriate, promising to speak with both of them separately. But setting all those facts aside, he claims Logan's attitude is the real issue. Now the teacher finally says the quiet part out loud. The excuse is so ridiculous it deserves a frame. Logan laughs quietly, just enough to be heard. Mr. Morrison's face drops, asking what is so funny. Logan replies he is just impressed, which only confuses the teacher further. If facts do not matter, Logan asks if he can be the emperor instead. His mother's eyes shoot him a sharp look, warning him to shut his mouth before he gets expelled, but seeing the teacher's face turn a deep purple heals something small inside Logan. The teacher fumes, demanding if he is mocking him. Logan just asks why facts only become optional when they clear his name. The office door swings open before anyone replies. Dean Hayes steps inside, holding a folder, sporting the exact same jawline as Tyler. The family resemblance is strong, a perfect picture of hereditary school politics. The dean ignores his own son entirely, locking his cold gaze directly on Logan. He notes Logan's refusal to write the reflection and the disrespect shown to the teacher. Logan glances between the dean and Tyler. News travels fast here. The dean's eyes grow icy, calling this attitude the exact root of the problem. Good grades mean nothing without respect, and a disobedient student cannot stay at Westbridge High, poisoning the whole school. Logan's mother immediately steps in, pointing out that Logan has proof the girl asked for his help. She reminds him that his own son, Tyler, was involved. 2. Dean Hayes finally glances over at Tyler with a quick scanning look, like checking a prized family vase for any scratches. Satisfied, he calmly announces that Tyler will be educated at home. Tyler stares at the floor, struggling to hide a smug grin. Logan's mother catches it, her face falling as the painful reality of their bias finally sinks in. The dean continues, focusing entirely on Logan's refusal to accept any discipline. He lists Logan's offenses, from class disruption to mocking the administration. He warns Mrs. Miller that while parents protect their children, senior year leaves absolutely no room for this level of instability. Instability, the word echoes in Logan's mind, a label from his past life. Unstable, emotional, impulsive, typical double standards we all hate to see, right? They never call Madison dishonest. The ugly labels always land on the powerless. The privilege of having a dean for a father. Hayes drops the folder onto the desk, presenting Logan's mother with their final, unfair options. Logan must write a sincere reflection, apologize to the teacher, and accept a warning, or he can pack up and leave Westbridge High forever. His mother freezes as the same old wall rises right in front of them. A prettier version of him on paper. In his past life, this was exactly where he folded. He had told himself that one apology was cheaper than getting expelled from school. One forced self-reflection was better than worrying his parents. One written lie saved a massive fight. But that first lie soon became a permanent record. That record turned into a lifetime curse. And for years after, Logan woke up every single morning with a suffocating weight in his chest. He stared at Madison. Tears still streamed down her face, but her eyes held a sharp, calculating look. She wanted him cornered. She wanted him to play the exact same submissive role as before. It worked out perfectly for her back then, and she expected a repeat performance. Logan glanced over at Tyler, who looked entirely bored. Then his eyes drifted to Mr. Morrison. The teacher was just waiting for Logan to bow his head. Finally, Logan looked at his mother. Her anger was fading, replaced by pure anxiety. She was worrying about his entire future. His academic record, the SAT, and the school reputation, the classic traps adults use. They always expect teenagers to swallow poison and call it medicine, not this time. Logan gave her a reassuring smile and told her not to worry. She softly whispered his name. He firmly stated he would not write a fake confession. Dean Hayes glared at him. The dean asked if Logan understood the consequences. Logan simply nodded. If Westbridge High expects him to pretend Tyler did nothing and Madison said nothing. While the teacher saw nothing, then he was completely done here. Madison flinched hard. Before anyone could interrupt, Logan declared he would transfer schools. The room fell dead silent. Even Tyler's bored expression finally cracked. Dean Hayes stared like students were never supposed to know they had options. Mr. Morrison recovered first, warning him not to throw his future away before exams. He warned that transferring now would ruin everything. Logan almost laughed. In his past life, staying here is what actually ruined him. He calmly replied that his future survived death, so it could easily survive a transfer. His mother gasped. Madison went pale while the dean dismissed it as dramatic. That was fine. Logan picked up his phone from his mother's hands and pocketed it. The voice recording proof was completely safe, and his hands were entirely clean. Tyler Hayes was still an arrogant bully, and Madison Cole was still a liar. This toxic school had not changed, but Logan was no longer the same boy. He showed respect only to his mother, completely ignoring the corrupt staff. Logan softly suggested they leave and head straight back home. Tomorrow they would look into transferring to Brookfield High. His future finally felt achievable. Although the path ahead was difficult, it was possible. Meanwhile, bad rumors traveled fast. News of his transfer reached homeroom 204 before he even arrived. By the time Mr. Morrison opened the door, his classmates had labeled him the villain. They completely ignored Tyler, who actually instigated the entire fight. Ignoring Madison, who dragged him into this and cried like a helpless victim. Instead, all the blame shifted entirely onto Logan. It was honestly unbelievable. He had been reborn for less than a day, yet he was already the scapegoat. Everyone blamed the only person who refused to do all the work. Mr. Morrison stood at the podium with a tense, furious expression. Logan's mother stood right beside him, tightly clutching her purse to hide her anxiety. Meanwhile, Dean Hayes went ahead to draft the school's official story. The one where his son is the victim and Logan is the menace. Mr. Morrison addresses the class. He claims that because Logan Miller refuses to admit his mistake, this entire situation has become much worse. That familiar teacher voice returns, soft and sharp. It is enough to turn 28 classmates into a jury. Madison lowers her head. Her eyes are red again. If crying were a class, she would be. Natural, near the window, someone mutters that Logan should just apologize. Another boy asks loudly why he is dragging everyone into all this. Logan's desk mate, Ryan Brooks, leans way back. That his chair almost gives up on him. He looks at Logan with sheer horror. Like a man watching his answer key walk straight into the ocean, Ryan whispers, asking who he is going to copy physics from now. Classic Ryan, pure loyalty, but in a totally parasitic way. Logan drops his bag, calling that the most touching reason to stay. Ryan presses a hand to his chest, claiming he speaks from the very heart. Scattered laughter breaks out, which only annoys Mr. Morrison further. He loudly raps his knuckles on the lectern to restore order. He snaps that this is not funny, ordering Logan to stand in the back. He suggests Logan can reflect while standing instead. Logan looks at Mrs. Miller. She looks back at her son, still worried but no longer confused. She has seen Madison's text and heard Mr. Morrison dismiss the actual facts. This moment changes everything for Logan. In his past life, his own explanations always felt like they were completely covered in thick mud. But this time, someone who actually matters saw the truth before the smear. With that confidence, Logan grabs his school bag once again. He politely declines, saying he already reflected and found the real problem. When Mr. Morrison asks what it is, Logan flatly replies, this school. Talk about a beautiful, expensive silence. The classroom goes completely dead. That only happens when someone says the quiet part out loud. Madison looks up. Tyler is already gone, which makes sense because protected boys never linger. They always vanish right when consequences come to collect rent. Mr. Morrison points directly toward the classroom door, furious. He orders him to the office, but Mrs. Miller steps forward first. She demands the transfer forms, making Mr. Morrison's face twitch. For all his talk of discipline, he never expected her to help. To a guy like him, parents should be frightened and obedient. A mother demanding forms is a completely different threat. With fake patience, he warns her that a transfer now is difficult. He claims Brookfield is different and Logan is being emotional. Logan smiles, telling him he will charge tuition if he says that. Ryan lets out a completely strangled sound behind him. Mrs. Miller does not smile, simply demanding the paperwork again. Mr. Morrison stares for 3 seconds, searching for some way to regain control over this entire situation. Then he opens his drawer, yanks out the transfer packet, and slaps it down, telling them they still need multiple signatures. Dean Hayes and Principal Bennett are done, since Logan insists on ruining his future. The school won't stop him. Logan smiles, saying he hates when people block destruction since it ruins the lighting. His mother sighs out his name. Because she is still his mother, and even righteous anger has its limits. Logan takes the forms. The first signature belongs to Mr. Morrison, who uncaps his pen but hesitates, letting the nib hover above the page. One last chance, he warns, write the apology to Madison and Tyler, and I can still persuade the dean to call this a misunderstanding. Right then, Madison lets out a soft, broken whimper. In his past life, that exact fragile sound would have dragged Logan by the ribs. He would have started desperately apologizing before even knowing what his crime actually was. But this time around, he sees right through it. But Logan isn't falling for it this time. Watch how he turns the tables. Morrison narrows his eyes, asking what trade, if he apologizes to his mother for making false accusations, Logan might actually consider staying long enough to win the physics Olympiad slot for homeroom 204, Miss Parker. The physics teacher happens to walk in right as he says this. She stops near the doorway with papers in her hand, looking directly at the transfer paper. She looks genuinely startled. Honestly, she is the very first teacher today who does not make him feel like the entire staff is completely blindfolded. Miss Parker gasps, Logan, you are transferring. He simply nods in response, but the Olympiad list is due. She stops herself, realizing the school is about to lose their absolute best student. Her quiet confession hangs in the air. Mr. Morrison definitely hears it, and his grip tightens around his pen. Logan looks back at him. Just one simple apology. Tell his mother that you ignored the facts and feel embarrassed as an educator. A short version works. The classroom erupts into low murmurs. Out of pure rage, Mr. Morrison signs so fiercely the page dents. There, he snaps, since you are so determined to leave, just go. The black ink stamps his ticket out. He thinks he is dismissing him, but he has actually made Logan's exit official. Logan takes the paper, thanking him. Miss Parker follows them into the hallway, trying to stop his rash decision with a single reasonable sentence. She warns him that transferring right before exams is highly risky, suggesting he should wait a single day. Reasonable advice, but absolutely terrible timing. If this were only anger, Logan replies he would, but Morrison demanded he sign a lie, and the dean threatened his record to protect his son. Staying means negotiating with corrupt administrators rather than learning from actual teachers. People who simply rewrite reality. Miss Parker looks down at his form, then glances toward the classroom door. The dean's son, Logan, says nothing, and she instantly understands the reality. Brookfield High has great teachers too, she murmurs, advising him to protect his talent instead of wasting it to prove a point. That hits him deeply. In his past life, he lost so much sleep, pride, and the trust that parents never recover once a school teaches them to doubt their child. He is leaving specifically to stop wasting his life. His mother grips his arm. Her handbag clicks shut. The paperwork is finished, but the grade office tries one last trick. Dean Hayes sits behind his massive desk like he personally invented consequences. Meanwhile, Principal Bennett reviews Logan's transfer application with pure annoyance. He looks like a man blaming a crack in his wall just for daring to exist. Bennett coldly calls his name. His academic record is strong, and his conduct was flawless before today. Logan mockingly repeats the phrase, before today. Dean Hayes taps the paperwork. He declares Logan's attitude is the problem. His attitude did not drag Madison down or force him to fight with Tyler. His file was threatened anyway. Bennett looks directly at his mother. He warns that transferring hurts his recommendations and contest support. In other words, they own the gates and want them to remember that. His mother hears the threat immediately. Parents always do. Logan steps forward. He demands they clear his name and force Morrison to apologize. The school must state in writing that Logan did not assault Tyler. He never harassed Madison and needs no discipline. Only then will they talk. Dean Hayes scoffs, asking if Logan expects the school to apologize to a student. Logan counters that they must apologize to the mother they tried to intimidate with lies. The room goes cold, the games are over, and Bennett snaps the folder shut. Bennett orders Hayes to sign. Hayes can only stare in disbelief. He admits they cannot force Logan to stay. The school offers no apologies. They refuse to clear his name, choosing instead to sign the papers quickly. They just want this problem out of their sight before a scandal erupts. Hayes signs first, then Bennett. Logan snatches the finalized document. He double-checks every signature. Hayes snorts, asking if Logan thinks they would cheat. Logan calmly replies that they are known to ignore facts, so he is staying cautious. Principal Bennett looks absolutely disgusted, but there is nothing he can do. Logan and his mother are almost out the door when Hayes calls out again. He warns that Brookfield High will not protect Logan from his own temper. Without their prestigious school backing him, Logan will see his true worth. Logan pauses at the exit. In his past, this would scare him. An authority figure's voice felt like destiny. Now, it just sounds pathetic. Logan tells Hayes that if his own son had that temper, he would take responsibility. He leaves before his mother can decide to scold him or enjoy his rebellion. Normally, getting these high-level signatures processed would take at least a full day. Instead, it takes only 1 hour. Westbridge High suddenly found efficiency. Nothing moves quicker than a guilty institution trying to bury its own massive mistakes. By lunchtime, the entire class knows Logan is leaving. He returns to pack his things. The other students pretend to ignore him while staring. The room feels dead silent. It is that awkward tension when school drama actually changes seating arrangements. His friend Ryan approaches him with a notebook, claiming he prepared something. Logan looks at the pages, asking if Ryan wrote him a farewell letter. No, it is the last physics homework. Ryan insists he needs closure. He complains that Logan cannot just abandon him with a blank workbook. Logan asks him to name a law, and Ryan says friendship. Logan points out that the law does not apply to homework. Ryan thinks about it, then suggests the law of community service. Logan laughs despite himself, taking the notebook to write a quick solution. He makes it shorter than usual, while Ryan leans closely over his shoulder. He hovers like it is a will, asking about Brookfield. Logan quietly says yes, completely ignoring rumors that he was kicked out. Hearing that Madison is crying, Logan coldly replies that hydration is important. Ryan just stares. Logan was always scary when calm, but far scarier when playing dumb. Ryan does not get it, but Logan does. The old Logan was loud and easily manipulated. He used to be loyal, but this calm Logan is entirely new. This version has physical proof, screenshots, and a mother who knows the truth. Finishing the problems, Logan tears out the page, which Ryan treats like holy scripture. Ryan tells him that, for what it is worth, he was not wrong. That is Ryan's version of an emotional speech, highly efficient, yet completely sincere. Born from homework dependence, but entirely real. Logan thanks him, and Ryan whispers that he will watch Westbridge High for him. Ryan promises to message him, which makes Logan ask why. Simply because Ryan loves gossip, and Logan is his highest value investment. Grinning, Ryan calls it true friendship. Logan packs up as Madison suddenly stands up. She confronts him at the door, and the classroom falls into an awkward silence. Everyone wants a dramatic breakup. Madison calls his name. Her voice shakes as she approaches him, hands clutching her phone tightly. Her eyes are red, but Logan easily spots the cold calculation underneath those tears. She needs one final story where she is the victim who tried her best. She wants to seem kind, making Logan the bad guy for rejecting her warmth. She stops him right in the hallway, just outside of the quiet classroom. Asking to talk, she looks past him. Mrs. Miller stands nearby, silently offering Logan support. Logan appreciates the teacher's quiet support more than he can put into words. He tells Madison to speak. Her eyelashes tremble as she fake apologizes. She claims she never wanted this drama, blaming her fear and Tyler's explosive anger. She hoped Logan's help would just make everything blow over. By helping, Logan notes she meant taking the blame, which makes her stutter. She glances at the 20 classmates, failing to hide their intense eavesdropping. She claims she knew he cared, talk about a master class in guilt tripping. For a second, Logan only sees painful flashbacks of their planned future together. He remembers Madison with Tyler and his parents exhausted from school meetings. He remembers his bruised hands after the fight, clutching a ruined future. He had wanted her to choose him so badly that he made himself expendable. That humiliating memory is painful, but it is also highly useful now. Pain is a great highlighter. Logan faces her with absolute clarity. She was never scared of him getting hurt, only that he would stop being useful. Her face drains of color as she denies it, but Logan presses her further. He asks why she wanted an apology after Tyler provoked him. She falls silent. Her silence is finally an honest response. Logan slowly pulls out his phone. Her contact name sits there out of habit, but he deletes her forever. He drops it right in front of her. Madison's eyes widen, begging him to stop. But he already did. She begs to stay friends, but he refuses to bleed for her sake. She flinches, it hurts. For a second, Logan almost feels a little cruel. But then he remembers his mother's devastated face back in that office. He warns her that choosing to protect Tyler over the truth is a sad mistake. She will only end up ruined beside him. Madison stares at Logan like he cursed her. And honestly, maybe he did, or perhaps he is just predicting a familiar, dark ending. He turns away before she can cry her way into another dramatic courtroom scene. Behind him, Ryan whispers that it was brutal, but Logan does not look back. Write it down, Logan tells him. It might be on the exam. The final thing Logan does before leaving Westbridge High is return his borrowed classroom key. He leaves it on Mr. Morrison's desk, who is currently pretending to grade papers. Without looking up, the teacher warns he will regret this. Logan says he probably will. He regrets plenty of things, which is exactly why he is constantly trying to improve. Mr. Morrison finally looks up, snapping that Brookfield High will not make Logan a hero. Logan fires back that he does not need a school to make him into anything. Confidence often looks like arrogance to people who want you kept small. Logan and his mother, Mrs. Miller, walk out through the front gate together. She does not ask if he is sure again, she just waits until they are outside. She asks him honestly if Brookfield High will even accept a late transfer like him. Yes, because his grades are stellar and Westbridge signed the transfer paperwork instantly. They signed so fast it actually makes them look highly suspicious. She gives him a tired look, calling his idea a handsome outline, not a plan. Logan stops joking around. He admits that he knows he really scared her today. Transferring is incredibly risky, but staying at Westbridge is definitely a much bigger risk. If he signs a false confession, every adult there learns they can push him. He cannot focus on taking his SAT exams with their boots on his neck. His mother looks back toward the gate. She says nothing, just silence. Finally, she nods. They are officially going to Brookfield High instead. Honestly, you have to respect his mother, choosing his truth over their reputation. The transfer paperwork takes all afternoon. Westbridge is officially in the past. Brookfield is not glamorous. The buildings are old and the gate paint is chipped. It lacks the shiny look of his old school, but Logan likes it immediately. Besides, places that look completely flawless have started making him pretty nervous. Later that evening, he logs onto the online forum for Exit Pass. This web novel has been his secret escape for months. Most teachers would find the entire thing completely ridiculous. A student writing serialized web fiction before the big exams, criminal behavior. Surely the next step is stealing school chalk and forming a dangerous gang. But the comments are real, flooding in the second he posts a hiatus note. One reader jokingly threatens to fail all their upcoming exams if he vanishes. Another fan humorously asks if he has been suddenly kidnapped by mountains of homework. A third tells him to stick to the basics and just keep writing. Just update, eat, sleep, and repeat. Logan stares at that comment for a long time, letting those simple words sink in. In his past life, he made everything too complicated. Love, loyalty, rage, pride. He used to treat every insult like fire, every tear like a siren. This time, simple things. Do not fight Tyler. Do not sign lies. Never let Madison drive. Study, write, protect his parents. Find Emma. Find her before the world buried her in noise. He typed one line. Under his hiatus notice, he wrote that the author was transferring schools. Updates would resume once he survived the seating chart. The comment section exploded. Ryan Brooks messaged him 10 seconds later. Ryan asked if he was actually the author. Logan stared at his screen. He texted back, "Ryan, you were supposed to admire the sentence structure." Ryan sent a bro, and Logan warned him to keep it quiet. Ryan asked him to define quiet. Logan replied, "The opposite of you." Ryan accepted the burn. Logan closed his laptop with a quiet smile. The next morning, his mother adjusted his collar like he was 6 years old. He let her. Some little humiliations were just love in a cheap disguise. Brookfield High homeroom teacher Ms. Anderson met them near the office. She was sharp-eyed and brisk, skipping the tragic sigh adults usually give. Especially when transfer students arrive with rumors, she checked his file first. She looked at his mother, then at him, addressing him as Logan Miller. She mentioned classmate conflicts. Logan dryly called that a very generous description. They had to ignore quite a few facts to write that single sentence. Ms. Anderson's mouth twitched. His mother shot him a warning look with less panic. Real progress. Closing the folder, Ms. Anderson acknowledged his strong grades. Though his conduct note was vague, she promised to judge him by his actions. He almost wanted to applaud. Instead, he just nodded. Calling it fair, he followed her toward the senior corridor. Loud chatter spilled from the classroom before they even reached the door. New school but the same student species, pure curiosity, gossip, and exam panic. Someone was laughing way too loud at a joke that probably was not funny. Ms. Anderson paused at the door, mentioning an open desk in the third row. She told him he could start right there. Peering through the narrow door window, he spotted her. There she was. Emma Blake sat right by the window, focused entirely on her notebook. She wrote quietly, looking like someone trying not to take up too much space. In his past life, she was just a quiet name he noticed too late. Others mocked her for being dull, but after graduation, she proved them wrong. She actually had more talent and patience than half this school combined. Most importantly, she never used him as a shield. Ms. Anderson opened the door. As the class turned, Logan stepped inside with his fresh transfer forms, ready to ask the first truly useful question of his new life. He directly asked the teacher if he could sit next to Emma Blake. Ms. Anderson glanced from her seating chart to the very quiet girl by the window. Emma Blake looked up, her eyes widening in surprise behind her glasses. It made sense. A new kid with a rumor cloud over his head had just walked in and immediately requested the seat right next to her. Her like he was picking out some limited edition prize, totally low-key. Practically invisible, but the class not subtle at all, chairs creak, pens. Stop moving, someone in the back whispers, "Wait, does he know Emma?" Another student whispers back that he probably transferred just for her. Talk about fast. Brookfield High gossip apparently has faster reflexes than Westbridge High. Disciplined, Miss Anderson clears her throat and asks Logan if he knows Emma. He says he knows of her, sounding totally suspicious. Because it absolutely is. He can hardly explain that in his last life he failed. To notice the quiet girl by the window was one of the only people in this generation with actual character, so he is just correcting the universe's seating arrangement. Even Logan knows when to filter himself. Miss Anderson studies his face, asking. The seat next to Emma is free. She looks at the empty desk, then at him, then. Back down, yes, teacher, she whispers in a voice so soft the whole room lines in to hear. Miss Anderson tells him to sit there, but first demands an introduction. He walks to the front, knowing the class has already built a wild version of him before he even speaks. A transfer student with a bad reputation. Rumors of a major fight, maybe a simp, maybe kicked out of school. Or honestly, just all of the above, but Logan just flashes his most innocent smile, introducing himself as an average student with excellent character, who absolutely never fights. For a split second, the whole room completely freezes, then bursts into laughter. Miss Anderson presses her lips tightly together, trying her hardest not to laugh on his very first day. Average grades. Well, average for his insane future standards, and that whole no-fighting promise. Just a personal goal. Even Miss Anderson can't help but smile now. First rule. Surviving a nasty rumor is simple. Never let the gossip control you. If they expect shame, give them total shamelessness. If they expect violence, give them sweet, friendly smile, leaving them to wonder if the violence was just outsourced. Miss Anderson points him toward Emma's row, telling him to sit. He responds politely. But she warns him that jokes won't replace actual homework. He promises to only use them as extra credit, making everyone laugh as he carries his bag to the window seat. Emma quietly slides her books closer to herself, not to be rude, but just to make sure he has enough space. Without starting an awkward conversation, That small gesture speaks volumes to him. More than any welcome speech could, he softly thanks Miss Blake as. He sits, she blinks, surprised by the formal title since they are classmates. He replies he will keep using it respectfully. She lowers her head and he spots the faint corner of her mouth twitching, not quite a full smile yet. But a start, since changing schools apparently taught his mouth absolutely zero. Survival skills, he leans slightly closer to ask if Miss Blake has a boyfriend. Her pen instantly freezes. Suddenly, the neighboring desks go dead. Silent, you just know everyone in that room suddenly developed super hearing. Emma immediately stands up, clutching her notebook tight against her chest, claiming she needs to ask Miss Anderson about question 5. They have not even opened the book yet. She flees before he can make things any worse. On his very first morning, he already made his presence. His new desk mate flees without taking his chair. Personal development goal number 2 become less alarming. The next period was self-study, meaning 40. Seniors pretended to study while tracking every single breath the new transfer took. The class monitor turned around first. Owen Fisher asked if he really transferred because he fought over a girl. No, Logan replied. Westbridge High discovered his character was just too excellent for their storage capacity. Someone choked on a laugh. Across the aisle, Chloe Harper leaned on her elbow, the English class representative. A social weather system, and in his past, one of Madison's little bridges into Brookfield High gossip. Logan Miller, right, Chloe said because she knew Madison Cole from elementary school. His past had officially arrived before lunch. Efficient, annoying, condolences, Logan replied. Chloe's eyebrows shot up while Emma's pen paused. Madison told everyone you liked her a lot, Chloe remarked. She told the truth once, a historic day. Logan opened his notebook, retired from unpaid bodyguard work, before Chloe could decide to laugh or dig deeper. Mason Cooper stood near the back door. He had the shoulders of someone who played basketball like the backboard had personally insulted him. Hey, new guy. Mason warned, do not flirt with Chloe on your first day. Every school had a Mason, sometimes dangerous, sometimes just a walking warning label fueled by insecurity and cafeteria protein. The trick was waiting for receipts. I am not flirting, Logan said. Mason stared. He pointed at his notebook. He was only networking. The class exploded, and Chloe's loud laugh did nothing to help Mason's blood pressure. Emma leaned slightly toward him and whispered that Mason might actually hit people. The humor stopped right there. She was not trying to control the scene, but warning him because she thought he might not understand the room yet. He lowered his voice, replying that he would not hit back first. That was not very comforting, but it was legally thoughtful. She pressed her lips together, almost smiling despite herself. Mason sat down, still watching him. Fine, he had handled Tyler by avoiding the old trap. He could handle Mason by refusing to become another Tyler with better grades. Ms. Anderson returned with a stack of English reading papers and dropped them on the lectern since everyone was so interested in their new classmate. She announced a short reading test, 20 minutes, no discussion. He loved teachers like Ms. Anderson. She saw a gossip fire and poured an exam on. Chloe handed out papers, asking if his grades were average. Deeply average, Logan replied. Chloe promised to be gentle when beating him. Please do. His character was fragile, he joked. Emma ignored them and began reading, which he liked. About her, in a classroom full of people trying to become a headline, she lived like a footnote with excellent handwriting. The test was not hard for him. He had already lived through this year once, and some grammar traps had the cozy smell of a teacher who reused favorite knives. He finished in 8 minutes and spent 5 more pretending to struggle because walking into a new school and immediately acting like a human answer key lacked diplomacy. When Ms. Anderson collected the papers and Mason sneered, asking if Westbridge did tests by guessing. Only on nice days, Logan replied. Careful, Mason warned. Brookfield High is not his old school. The teachers here actually read the evidence. Ms. Anderson looks up, calling Logan. Quiet down, she orders. Logan shuts up mostly. During the break, Ms. Anderson grades quickly, while Chloe awkwardly hovers nearby. Mason sharpens his pencil aggressively, while Emma quietly reviews. Emma traces her page, listening as Ms. Anderson calls out Chloe's score. 2 wrong, Emma gets 3 wrong but shows better inference. Then she picks up Logan's test, her pen suddenly stopping. That heavy silence fills the entire room. Logan, yes, teacher. How many questions does he think he missed? Quite a few, he answers, but the teacher holds up his paper, only 1. The room instantly snaps toward him. Chloe's smile freezes, and Mason lets out a hostile cough. Logan acts regretful, but secretly, he is loving this. Anything less than perfect is failure. Right on cue, the entire class erupts. She sets it down 98, the absolute highest score today. Just average for future standards, Logan reminds her. She threatens to throw him out. Understood, he says. Emma inspects his paper for one intense second. You are good at English, she says, zero flattery involved. Just direct, clean observation. Logan plays it down, but she is not having it. His flexible humility actually makes her smile, a genuine, proper smile. A quick, rare flash, gone before he can prove it. That tiny, fleeting smile hits him way harder than getting a 98. He feels human again. He is not concrete, the lunch rumors upgrade. Logan is no longer just the transfer kid who fought over Madison Cole. Now he is the legend who completely dismissed that fight. He irritated Mason, scored a 98, and called it a total failure. A classmate named Grace walks over, whispering about the school gossip. Emma glances at him, then quietly warns her friend that Logan is sitting right here. Grace claims she lowered her voice, but Logan points out she really did not. Then pretend I did, she smiles. Suddenly, Chloe joins the group. Interrupting the piece, Chloe asks Logan if he reads the novel Exit Pass. His hand freezes midair. That title followed him to school way too fast. Chloe shares that the author announced a hiatus to transfer schools. Several classmates turn. Ryan, back at Westbridge, must have kept things quiet. Emma's eyes immediately flick toward Logan, asking if he reads it. He admits to reading a little. Grace eagerly lines in next. She says the entire class forum is absolutely losing it over this sudden hiatus. Mason sneers from behind them, calling the author arrogant. Logan turns around. He calls it a style choice. Chloe asks if he knows the author. Very well, Logan replies, intimately. The entire table goes completely silent. Emma blinks. Logan realizes too late that intimately is a highly questionable word here. Especially around a literal-minded girl, he quickly coughs to clear the air. He clarifies that he understands his creative habits, making Grace laugh. Emma looks down at her lunch, ears blushing. He warns himself to stay sharp. Chloe absolutely loves this slip in his composure, asking for updates. He jokes the author is recovering from some traumatic classroom seating. Mason claims he is popular in hidden places, though Logan thinks it sounds totally fake. Mason claims skepticism is valuable to the group, just as Ms. Anderson walks past them. Holding her lunch tray, she warns Logan without even slowing down her pace. If he starts a cult on day one, she will change the entire seating chart. He puts a hand over his heart, claiming he is only promoting literature. She tells him to do it quietly, which makes Emma laugh silently. That silent laugh is a better review than the forum. Next comes Chinese class. It is taught by Mr. Whitman, a teacher completely different from Ms. Anderson. She looks like she can organize chaos. He looks exhausted by student essays. He has survived years of terrible student writing by developing absolute patience. He enters holding a thermos, a stack of books, and a very calm expression. He could easily destroy a student's thesis without ever raising his voice. Taking attendance, the teacher calls out Logan Miller. Logan stands up immediately. The teacher tells him to sit, noting his grades are strong but inconsistent. His old school records show a lot of fluctuation. That is actually true. In Logan's past life, his writing skills swung wildly like a storm-blown door. His essays were either brilliant or overly dramatic and completely messy. This time around, he has a popular web novel and an actual fanbase. He spent months learning how to turn raw emotion into real hooks. Mr. Whitman starts the lesson, guiding the class through classical reading. He lectures on composition structure. Logan listens for 10 minutes before his phone vibrates. It is a notification from his novel forum. He definitely should ignore it. But he does not. He hides his phone under the desk and starts drafting. He types out just 3 lines for his next web novel chapter. Think of it as academic jaywalking. Emma is the first one to notice. She glances at the teacher, then back at Logan, giving a silent warning. Logan quickly slides the device under his notebook, but it is too late. Mr. Whitman calls out his name. Every single student turns to look. Honestly, you can already tell his Loki plan has some major structural weaknesses. The teacher walks over and demands the phone. Logan hands it right over. The screen is still unlocked because trying to hide it would look guiltier. Plus, he simply has terrible self-control when it comes to writing drafts. Mr. Whitman reads those 3 lines, and his expression instantly shifts. He is not angry, but actually interested, which is much more dangerous. When asked if he wrote this during class, Logan admits the truth. The class laughs softly at his honesty, but the teacher remains serious. He flips the phone over and tells Logan to step out into the hallway. Logan follows him out and the door shuts, silencing the classroom chatter. Mr. Whitman holds the phone and scrolls down to the draft folder. He sees the novel title, Exit Pass, and looks up at Logan. When asked to prove it is his, Logan takes back the phone. He opens his author dashboard, showing off the drafts and comments section. Seeing the actual posting history, the teacher's stern look completely softens. He admits Logan has good pacing, which Logan politely thanks him for. But those cliffhanger endings, those are absolutely shameless. Definitely not a compliment. Logan quietly handed his phone back. Mr. Whitman acknowledges his talent, but class time is still off limits. Logan understands, but talent does not guarantee success. It will not automatically put him in first place. Honestly, we all know how teachers love turning compliments into extra homework. Classic teaching pattern, Mr. Whitman continues, announcing a joint exam. It involves Westbridge High, Brookfield High, and 2 others. Northgate High and Fairview Prep are also joining. He must rank first. Topping the class means he can write after finishing his regular schoolwork. If he fails, the teacher keeps his phone during Chinese class. Just Brookfield High. Mr. Whitman asks if Logan is negotiating. Logan is just clarifying his limits. Fine, the teacher says, rank first across all 4 schools instead. That was supposed to scare Logan. It did, just a tiny bit. But public challenges often invite public failure. In his past life, he failed. Acting on pure emotion always ruined him back then. This was different. This risk depended on real skill, not just pride. Logan could accept that. He agrees. Mr. Whitman notes his confidence, but Logan quickly clarifies. He is just trying to do basic things repeatedly, earning an approving smile. Mr. Whitman tells him to put his phone away first. Simple. Back in class, everyone tries and fails to look completely normal. A secret note is already traveling from Chloe to Grace. Owen keeps turning around, while Mason glares at Logan with pure judgment. As Logan passes her desk, Chloe slides a folded scrap forward. An exit pass, Logan quickly tucks the paper under his Chinese textbook. Mr. Whitman places the confiscated phone directly on the teacher's desk. He announces to the class that Logan is officially banned from writing in class. Logan nods obediently, but then the teacher mentions a brand new challenge. That stops Logan's nodding instantly. Mr. Whitman looks back with innocent eyes. It is an educational betrayal. He reveals the upcoming mock exam. Logan is officially aiming for first place across all participating schools. Success means he can write in class after completing his assignments. If he fails, the teacher keeps his phone during Chinese class. The classroom quietly absorbs this shock. Owen is stunned. Chloe turns, asking Logan if he really agreed to that. Mason laughs, mocking him for acting like a legend on day 1. Logan sits beside Emma and opens his textbook as she watches with worry. She asks if he can really do it, no mockery, just genuine concern. He wants to joke, but stops when he sees her tense hand on the desk. He suddenly remembers her quiet warning about Mason from earlier. Emma clearly takes danger seriously. Even for a stranger, she cares, so he simply replies he will try. She nods solemnly, wishing him luck. He quietly thanks Miss Blake. She wonders why he still calls her that, finding the respect strange. Logan offers to stop, but she quietly admits she does not actually mind. He hated it, Logan's mind, seasoned by administrative threats and public rumors. And that massive 4-school exam challenge suddenly lost its usual cool. His professional discipline vanished. Chloe caught his expression and whispered across the aisle saying he was done. Logan warned he heard her, but Chloe shrugged. Good, it was meant for him. Mason muttered it was ridiculous, maybe so, but by that first day's end. Brookfield High had not accepted Logan yet. Acceptance was far too warm a word. For seniors facing major exams with the emotional stability of highly over. Caffeinated squirrels, but they updated his file. He was no longer just a transfer student from Westbridge High. He was the guy with the suspicious fight rumor. That one flawed English paper, a rumored author identity, and a seat beside Emma. Blake, Chloe Harper's interest, Mason Cooper's anger, and Mr. Whitman's public challenge sitting on his desk like a live grenade. It was too much for one. Day Logan's quiet life was officially dead. Time to move on when the final bell rang. Emma packed her books slowly, moving with deliberate care as the room emptied out. Logan recognized that tactic because he used to do the same. After painful disciplinary meetings back in his old life. Sometimes you did not wait because you were slow, but because attention hurt. Logan did not rush her. Grace left with Chloe, who cast 2 lingering glances. Back, Mason departed with some guys from the back, deliberately slamming into a desk. To make his point truly subtle, once the classroom was nearly empty, Emma finally looked at him. Logan. It was the first time she used his name. It mattered way too much. He answered yes, and she whispered to tell Ms. Anderson. Logan asked if she trusted teachers. Emma adjusted her glasses some. That response showed real maturity. Logan promised he would remember that. Emma hesitated, adding she read his novel. He kept his voice light, to ease her nerves, teasing that he should apologize to the author for his bad punctuation. Emma softly admitted she liked it. Those words shook Logan's composure far more than Mason's hostile warning ever could. For a brief second, everything softened. Logan quietly promised to tell the author. It was a serious promise, no jokes. Some moments were better kept simple. Emma nodded quickly, grabbing her bag, but at the doorway she paused. Scoring first in Chinese across 4 schools is incredibly difficult, so do simple things repeatedly. She slipped away before Logan could even respond. He sat there in silence, staring at the empty doorway. That specific line came from an online forum, and he had quoted it to Whitman earlier. Now Emma returned those words like a quiet promise. Brookfield High was already way more dangerous than his old school, but get this. Here, people could actually surprise him for the better. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. On the teacher's desk, forgotten for exactly 30 dramatic seconds. The screen lit up with a new text from Ryan. Ryan messaged that Westbridge High was claiming Logan begged to leave because he could not handle their discipline. He stared at the screen, then at his Chinese textbook, and finally at the empty seat Emma had abandoned. His old school was writing their own narrative. Fine, Logan had a novel audience, a new classroom, and a major exam to conquer. The quiet girl who had just told him to do simple things repeatedly, let them talk. This time he could answer with real scores. Westbridge High found out the author they were praising was the very student they had discarded before the second morning bell. Ryan sent him the screenshots while Miss Anderson's class was still pretending self-study meant studying by yourself. In the first screenshot, the city education account had shared exit pass as a bright example of student writing. In the second, Westbridge High School forum had reposted it with a caption so proud it probably needed its own chair. Then came the third screenshot, post deleted. Under it, Ryan had typed 5 simple words. Ryan Brooks messaged that they realized it was him. That was efficient. Yesterday, he had been a discipline problem who could not handle pressure. This morning, he had become student literary talent for approximately 9 minutes, then vanished from Westbridge High's memory like an inconvenient typo. Ryan kept sending messages. He said Morrison had pulled Madison out. She told him that he wrote it. Ryan added that Morrison said the school should verify if the novel was copied. Another message came, translation, panic. He stared at the screen and almost laughed. Of course Madison knew, months ago, back when he still thought being useful was the same as being loved. He had shown her a chapter draft. She had called it kind of interesting and then asked whether he could help her with math. Truly, romance had been thriving. Historians would study them and give up. Now Westbridge High wanted the praise. Without the student, that was a familiar shape. They liked his grades when they improved their reputation, liked his writing when it looked like theirs, and hated his mouth whenever it asked who had actually done the work. Chloe Harper slid into the seat across from him before he could put his phone away. She did not ask permission. Chloe treated empty chairs like political openings. Exit pass, she said softly. She had written the same question on a scrap of paper after Mr. Whitman caught his phone. Now she said it out loud with her eyes bright and dangerous. Emma, beside him, paused over her notebook. That pause settled the decision. He could let Chloe corner him first. He could let Westbridge High delete, rename, or twist the story before he chose who heard the truth. Or he could do one simple thing before the room did what rooms always did. He looked at Chloe. After second period. That sounds like a yes. That sounds like after second period. Chloe smiled. You are very annoying. Strong review, he joked. Post that under his novel. Emma's pen moved again, but slower. That was his warning. If he let Emma hear the truth from Chloe, he would become the exact kind of person he disliked, someone who used silence because it was convenient. He repeated after second period. He asked Emma to walk with him to the stairwell near the music room. It was quiet there, mostly because seniors avoided stairs whenever exams had already climbed on their backs. Emma held her notebook against her chest. Is this about the novel? She asked. Yes, she looked down. Then you know the author? He admitted that he was the author. Her fingers tightened. He opened his phone and showed her the dashboard, drafts, comments, posting history, the whole embarrassing backstage where his chapter titles went to fight for their. Emma stared at the screen for a long, quiet second. She pointed out his broken promise, calling his move a pretty cheap trick. That single word stung him, carrying no loud accusations or cheap drama. It was just the painful sound of broken trust. He pocketed his phone. He admitted he should have been honest earlier, drawing her sudden, sharp gaze. She asked why he was confessing now, only because Chloe suspected. Westbridge High already knew enough to start erasing evidence before anyone found out. If she heard it elsewhere, it would become gossip before the truth emerged. As Emma stayed silent, he shared only the believable details of his situation. He kept his secret rebirth buried deep inside, mentioning only Madison at school. Madison had begged him for help because Tyler was constantly harassing her. When Tyler tried baiting him, he simply walked away, yet she lied anyway. Morrison demanded an apology, while Hayes protected Tyler because he was his son. They forced him to write a deep self-reflection for a mistake he never made. Emma's expression softened slowly as she processed everything. She quietly compared the wild hallway rumors with the boy standing before her. Weighing the actual facts, she realized why he had to transfer. Now Westbridge was claiming he couldn't handle authority, just like Ryan said. Emma stared out the stairwell window, her voice soft but clear. That is unfair, she said simply, with no dramatic speech or heavy sighs. He had spent years in his previous life just wishing someone would say that. Back then it actually mattered. Agreeing with her, he listened as she asked his plan. He quietly showed her the screenshots Ryan had sent. His plan was to post the deleted praise directly on Brookfield's forum. He would attach timestamps, original links, deletion records, and his official author proof. Just clean facts, but watch closely. Is he ready for the backlash? Would people stare at him even more? Definitely. Emma adjusted her glasses. She wondered why he told her first, a quiet but sharp question. He answered honestly, explaining that she liked his novel before knowing his identity. He wanted her to know the truth before the whole class began investigating him. Emma lowered her eyes. For a fleeting second, he feared he made things worse. But then she quietly confessed that she hated being treated like a clue. He knew that, but promised he could keep her secret for a while. A flicker of hope appeared, holding her notebook tightly like a protective shield. She thanked him and he called her Ms. Blake, making her glance up. She asked if he would keep using that name, and he promised he would. A tiny, rare smile touched her lips. Later, Mr. Whitman reviewed his post. Getting approval was not Logan's usual style, but it kept things from blowing up. The teacher read the draft, adjusting his glasses with a serious look. He advised removing the line about Westbridge High being allergic to facts. It was accurate but dangerous, like educational gasoline, so Logan removed it. The final draft was quite plain by his usual standards. But being boring meant he was finally acting like a responsible student. He attached the praise, the deleted repost, and his private author dashboard. With personal data safely blurred out, he added a brief concluding note. At Brookfield High, the gossip was already spreading fast. The school forum lasted exactly 3 minutes before turning into a shouting match. Grace found out first and spun around in her seat. To stare right at Logan, Owen Fisher whispered, "No way," with absolute awe. He looked like someone watching a rumor transform into a dragon. Chloe leaned back, annoyed that she was right but had not been the first to announce it. Mason Cooper read the post from the back row and muttered, "Ridiculous." That was quickly becoming his personal brand. Emma did not even look surprised. She kept writing, but her ears flushed pink. That mattered to Logan far more than the forum. The payoff arrived faster than Westbridge High expected. Their deleted post did not erase Logan. It gave him a cleaner screenshot. By lunch, Brookfield High knew 3 things. Westbridge High had lost the exit pass author, Westbridge High had tried to delete the evidence, and that author now sat beside the quiet girl by the window. The first 2 facts made Logan interesting. The third made Emma a target. It happened during gym class because humiliation. Loved an audience and gym provided them in bulk. They were on the side court. After a light shuttle run, which for seniors meant 10 minutes of pretending. Their bodies had not been replaced by exam paper. Emma came in near the back. Cheeks flushed red, glasses slipping slightly. Public sweating was definitely not her natural arena, and the class treated that like a moral defect. Logan bought 2 bottles of water from the vending machine and set one on her desk when they returned. Hydration, he said, was advanced sports science. Emma took it with both hands, thanking him. Across the aisle, Paige Lawson watched the exchange and whispered loudly enough to qualify for public broadcasting. The famous author buys Emma water now. Is this a flower stuck in manure? The room went thin. Chloe, standing beside Paige, made a small laugh that died halfway through. Grace looked at Emma immediately. Emma froze with the bottle cap half open. That was where the humor stopped. Logan could take gossip about himself. He had been called a simp, problem student, fake author, and several other phrases Ryan would have charged admission to repeat. But Emma had not asked for any of this. She had warned him about Mason. She had trusted him with a secret. She had done nothing except sit beside him and accept water. Logan stood. Paige's smile faded. Say it again, he said. She swallowed, muttering she was joking. Logan told her to write the joke down, wanting to see if it got funnier when she had to sign her name. Chloe stepped forward, claiming Logan. She did not mean it like that. You laughed, he replied. Chloe's face fell. Both of you, he continued. Oh, one handwritten apology note to Emma before evening self-study. Spare them the dramatic performance and cute excuses. If they could turn her into class entertainment, they could use those same literacy skills to fix it. Paige went red, asking who he was to order them. Logan was the person who would take this to Ms. Anderson with the exact sentence, and the witnesses if they preferred adult supervision. Emma whispered his name. He looked at her and his voice softened. She did not have to accept the notes if she did not want them. The hurt sat quietly in her eyes, making every joke in the room look incredibly cheap. Paige looked away as Chloe's eyes began to redden. This might be funny in another universe. She was not hit, but she hated being seen as cruel. A different kind of wound, still useful. Fine, Chloe said, her voice shaking. She promised to write it. Mason appeared in the doorway before the period ended. He saw Chloe's red eyes, saw Logan standing near Emma's desk, and began plotting. He did the simple math of a guy who wanted the answer to be a punch. Logan, he said. Outside, Logan replies he is indoors. Meet at the gate. The room went quiet again. Emma gripped the bottle. Mason pointed at Logan. You think a test score in some novel make you untouchable? No, Logan replied. He thought they made him literate. Mason stepped closer. At the gate, do not run. There were many things Logan could have said. Several were excellent, but none were worth making Emma cry harder, so he only nodded, agreeing to meet after school. Emma turned toward him as soon as Mason left. Can you tell Ms. Anderson? He could, but would he? Logan looked at the doorway where Mason had just been. The obvious solution was reporting him to a teacher. In a perfect world, that would work, but honestly, things here are never that simple. Rumors before dinner. Emma made Logan complain, and Chloe cried because of Emma. Mason was only protecting a classmate. The school would warn him. He would just wait off campus. Soon, Emma would become the center of a story she never asked to star in. If he reports it now, her name becomes part of it, Logan said. Emma admitted she did not want that. Then what will he do? Keep his hands clean? She did not look comforted. Fair, she said. That sentence sounded better. After the results, Logan texted Ryan during the next break, asking if his cousin still did professional security for high school events. Ryan Brooks replied, depends who is asking, a paying customer or a tragic abandoned physics tutor. Logan texted back both. Ryan asked what happened. Logan replied that Mason was bringing people to the school gate. Ryan Brooks messaged how many. Logan replied he hoped for 15 to 20 for dignity. Ryan messaged that Logan was emotionally unwell. Logan then asked if his cousin could bring witnesses, cameras, and adults who looked expensive to annoy them. Ryan replied yes, insisting on no fighting. Perfect, because Logan had other plans. Fighting is only for people who hate their own exam records. The only problem was cash. Logan's money was at home, and Ryan's cousin wanted a call-out fee because grown adults did not assemble in vans for his personal character development. Character development. Logan sat down beside Emma before evening self-study, explaining he needed to ask an uncomfortable favor. She looked up immediately, asking how much. She did not even ask what for, completely ignoring any embarrassment about homework. That was unfairly accurate. Logan quickly explained his backup plan involving adult witnesses, no physical fighting, and absolutely no heroic nonsense. Ryan's cousin would bring enough tough guys to make Mason's crew quickly rethink their extracurricular activities. He just needed a small cash loan until he could repay it. The very next day, Emma listened with both hands folded over her notebook, asking if anyone would get hurt. No, would he hit Mason? No, would this make him angrier? Briefly, she frowned and, after briefly embarrassed, embarrassment is far more educational. Emma opened her bag and took out her wallet. Before handing him the cash, Logan opened. He pulled out his phone, logging a debt record with the amount, purpose, and payback date. After turning the screen toward Miss Blake, she scanned the details and insisted it was unnecessary. He insisted, telling her that her money is not magic, but rather trust. Trust with numbers attached. She stared at him for a moment, then handed over the bills. She told him to repay on time, and he respectfully agreed. The gate after school looked exactly like any normal gate after dismissal. Students poured out, bikes rang, and snack vendors did a roaring business. They did better business than motivational teachers. Meanwhile, Mason waited. He stood across the street with 6 unfamiliar boys, 6, despite his mental preparation. Braced for 15, the letdown was real as Mason approached. With hands in his pockets, Mason noted his arrival, and he proudly confirmed it. He wore comfortable shoes for the drama. One of the tough boys laughed until Mason glared him down, face darkening. Mason snarled that he made Chloe cry, though Chloe had laughed at Emma. Now Chloe was writing an apology, a basic consequence of her own actions. Did he think he could boss people around? No, just protect his desk mate. They simply had to write apologies. As Mason stepped closer, things shifted. 2 vans pulled up behind him, and Ryan's big cousin stepped out first. He had never met the cousin before, but instantly respected his massive size. The man looked like he read contracts and lifted refrigerators for fun. Behind him came 12 adults holding phones, ready to record every single movement. It was enough to make Mason's tough crew regret their life choices. Ryan's cousin smiled, asking which student needed security. He raised his hand. Confirming it was him, Mason looked between the massive adults and him. Mason demanded answers, so he called it community observation. Ryan's cousin warned the group that absolutely nobody was to touch anyone. They were recording the gate to ensure students could leave the school safely. Anyone not looking for trouble was told to just keep walking. Suddenly, the tough boys discovered very urgent appointments in all directions. It was beautiful, like pure administrative oxygen hitting a room of matches. Only Mason stayed, his pride weighing far more than common sense. Without his crowd, Mason looked like a student who had overdressed for a bad decision. He accused him of calling adults and relying on outside help. Mason called him a coward, and he agreed, protecting his future. He was fragile about his SATs. As Mason seethed, Ryan's cousin stepped in. Ordering the student home, Ryan's cousin watched Mason hesitate before spotting the recording phones. Mason finally walked away. The victory was clean, leaving absolutely 0 injuries. There was no discipline record, only a loud silence where threats once stood. By the next morning, photos of the encounter had spread all over Brookfield High. They made Mason's backup look small, while his own adult witnesses looked boring. Which was exactly the point. Paige's apology note arrived before first period. The letter was stiff and nervous, written by someone facing real consequences. She apologized formally for her hurtful words. Admitting the insult to Emma was cruel. She promised never to repeat it. Chloe's note arrived next, even shorter, claiming she only laughed because she was. They said they were jealous, ugly, and sorry. Emma read both notes quietly, not smiling, but her shoulders loosened. Logan asked if she accepted them. She folded the notes and slipped them into her notebook, saying she accepted that they wrote them. She accepted the paperwork, not the dramatic performance. Good for her. The Brookfield High Forum pinned Logan's exit pass repost under the literature discussion board by noon. Mr. Whitman pretended he had nothing to do with it, which meant he absolutely had everything to do with it. Mason's circle gave Logan wide berth in the hallway. Chloe stopped flirting for one whole morning, a rare restraint that probably counted as community service. And Emma, dragged into the spotlight just because Logan sat beside her, looked at the pinned post, those apology notes, and the empty space Mason's crew now left around them. You told me first, she said during Lunch, he admitted it, glad he kept her out of his post. She was no prop. She stared at her water bottle, whispering that people kept looking. Logan knew, but it felt different. When asked if it was better or worse, Emma thought less lonely, she replied. Logan had no joke for that. Mr. Whitman saved him by stopping right beside their desks with a stack of mock exam notices, telling Logan to enjoy his fame today because tomorrow the joint mock schedule would begin. Chloe, done with her restraint, asked if it was the four-school one. Mr. Whitman nodded. Westbridge High, Brookfield High, Northgate High, and Fairview Prep. Chinese composition was included. Mason, at the back, looked up despite himself. Emma's hand tightened around her pen. Mr. Whitman smiled at Logan in that cruel way only teachers could manage. Logan wanted to do simple things repeatedly. He could start with an exam. The deleted post made him famous. Now the score sheet had to make it expensive. The morning after Mason tried to outsource his courage, Ms. Anderson called both of them into the hallway. Mason arrived with his jaw set and hands in pockets. Logan arrived with a notebook, a pen, and the peaceful expression of a student who had technically not punched anyone. Growth looked good on him, very scholarly. Ms. Anderson looked from Mason to Logan, demanding explanations. Teacher, Logan said, Mason and I are best buds. Mason's head snapped toward him, denying it instantly. See, Logan noted. Comfortable honesty, a very strong foundation. Ms. Anderson closed her eyes. For 1 second, she did that often around him. Logan was becoming part of her cardio. Logan, no fight happened, he assured her. No one was hurt. Some adults stood near the gate recording the area, and Mason went home. Mason muttered about Logan's crowd. Logan replied that Mason brought one first. Ms. Anderson's gaze sharpened on Mason. He looked away, giving Ms. Anderson enough to work with. She knew how student lies smelled before breakfast. Ms. Anderson lowered her voice. If either of them turned her class into an off-campus fight club, she would make sure their parents learned every detail before they could rewrite it. Understood, Mason muttered. Logan promised he was deeply committed to boring exits. She replied he was committed to making her retire early. Also possible, he smiled. Her mouth twitched for a second before she looked at Mason again, warning that it ended right now. If she heard about outside students at the gate again, she would not care whose pride started it. Mason nodded once and Logan did too, right before Ms. Anderson kept Logan behind while Mason returned to class. She demanded the truth, so he gave her the clean version, Paige's insult and Chloe's apology. He mentioned the apology note, Mason's threat, and the gate confrontation, but no injuries. He kept Emma's terror out of it, since she never volunteered to be a school report. Ms. Anderson listened to his story without interrupting once. When he finished, she praised him for handling the physical danger without fighting. But she also noted that he created a highly visible, peaceful public spectacle. Logan had managed a medium-sized scene, and she sighed heavily. She warned that she was watching him, noting this made 2 schools for him now. She actually reads the evidence, which completely shut Logan up. It was a fair hit. By the time he sat down, Emma whispered, asking if they were best buds. She joked about the working title, making Mason cough in disgust from the back. He sounded like he swallowed a staple. The first small victory had arrived. Mason stopped making threats. Chloe did not put on a show, and Paige stayed quiet. Paige stared at Emma's desk, as if the apology note would explode if insulted. Then Westbridge High got involved. Ryan messaged him during the break. Ryan Brooks texted that Morrison had just bought him breakfast. Logan asked if it was poisoned, and Ryan immediately replied. He said spiritually yes, then sent another text. Ryan mentioned Morrison gave him $60, leaving Logan staring at his screen. Ryan quickly defended himself, saying he accepted the cash for evidence. He claimed it was for snack justice, so Logan asked what Morrison wanted. Ryan replied that the school wanted to clarify Logan's discipline note. They would do it if Logan stopped posting about the deleted exit pass. They also wanted credit for the novel developed while he was still there. Ryan added that Madison was supposed to text him next as emotional packaging. Right on cue, a friend request popped up from Madison Cole. Her message preview floated onto the screen, asking if they could talk. She claimed Morrison believed this was incredibly important for both of their schools. She wrote that she did not want things to get worse, trying to sugarcoat a threat. Logan refused to accept the request, taking a quick screenshot of it instead. He then messaged Ryan, asking if he actually kept that bribe money. Ryan replied that he was corrupt, not wasteful, so Logan demanded photos. He wanted proof of the envelope. Ryan said he had already sent them. He called it friendship file management. The screenshots arrived. They showed Morrison's desk, a folded envelope, and Ryan's thumb in frame. Ryan's thumb wanted credit, right next to the principal's message about cooperation. They wanted to guide Logan back. $60 was the price of their dignity. Logan quietly saved the files to his private folder, hiding the evidence away. Talk about playing the long game, he forced himself not to leak them. Evidence does not expire, but his study time definitely did. The big joint mock exam started the very next day with 4 schools. They shared papers and proctors, bringing enough nervous energy to light the city. If anyone could handle teenage dread safely, the moment he saw the answer. Sheet the laughter died. In his past life, exams meant suffering. Chamber after the fight, he remembered sitting with a warning on his record. Teachers treating him like a danger, his parents pretending not to worry at. Dinner and his own brain refusing to stay still long enough to solve. Questions he actually knew. That memory didn't vanish just because he had. Better options now. The paper smelled of ink and cheap glue. His fingers rested on the desk. Clean hands, clean record, new start, simple steps. Repeatedly read the prompt, spot the trap, write. The first subject passed with 0 drama, just how exams should go. If adults stopped making teenagers perform emotional circus tricks around them, then came Chinese. Before they entered the room, Grace whispered that everyone was panicking over composition themes. Chloe had 3 sample essays memorized, her face tense like she would personally sue the paper if none appeared. Emma had her outline notebook. Open, quiet, and neat. He scanned the crowded corridor and lowered his voice. Study environmental governance, youth responsibility, and community rules, he muttered. Owen Fisher blinked. Why those? Because if the paper asks about celebrity gossip, we are all doomed anyway. Chloe narrowed her eyes. Is this author instinct? No, just pure student survival instinct. Emma looked at her notes, then calmly added 2 lines under a heading. You really believe him? Chloe asked. Emma didn't look up. He's often strange, not usually random. That was probably the best review of his unique personality yet. The exam paper landed, making the corridor whispers creep back in just like a ruthless debt collector. The prompt asked about youth in public responsibility in building a community. The match was close enough to make every doubting classmate turn and stare at him. Future memory worked like a dying flashlight. Even pointing it at the right wall, he still had to walk. He wrote carefully. For once, his status felt less like a distraction and more like training. The essay had a spine and only a few errors for Mr. Whitman to mourn. He finished early. Dean Hayes was one of the Westbridge High administrators patrolling the hallways. Outside the rooms, interschool proctoring was supposed to build fairness. In reality, it just let adults exchange polite, empty smiles while silently ranking each other's students. He saw him come out and frowned. Already finished? Yes, Dean Hayes, he said. Confidence is not the same as ability. I agree, he replied. That is why I wrote answers. His eyes cooled. Westbridge High students are still inside. Good, they deserve enough time. He walked past him, then stopped as if remembering something. Dean Hayes. The dean looked over. If the education office asks for updates on exit pass, do you want me to say the author could not handle discipline, or the author could not handle deletion? For 1 second, his face lost its administrator polish, then it came back thinner. You should worry about your score. I am, he replied. That was the difference. In his old life, he worried like fear was a plan. This time, he worried by writing the paper. Ryan's message. Right after the final exam, a text came in from Ryan Brooks about Westbridge High. They announced an emergency writing contest. Ryan texted over the theme. Real literary talent begins with moral character. Then Ryan messaged, bro. They literally invented a contest just to target you. Logan replied he was honored. Ryan texted next. Morrison claims copied internet novels have 0 exam value. Logan replied, tell him his punctuation crimes still count as literature. Then Ryan texted, can he keep the $60 if this becomes evidence? Logan replied, keep it as emotional damages. Then Ryan texted back, finally, justice. 2 days later, the score sheets were posted. Brookfield High announced them loudly. Schools loved preaching humility until rankings made them look good. After that, humility went outside to buy snacks. Ms. Anderson walked in with the printed list, Mr. Whitman right beside her. And a Brookfield High administrator stood near the door, looking like he had come to Inspect a miracle while praying it was wearing the right school uniform. The classroom went silent as Ms. Anderson's eyes found Logan. Present and emotionally prepared, Logan joked. She replied, "No, you are not." That was rude but accurate, Logan thought, before Mr. Whitman grabbed the list from her. Could ruin things, he announced the Chinese composition and total scores. The room erupted. Chloe stood. Out of her seat, across all four schools, Mr. Whitman repeated across all four. Mason stared at Logan from the back like he had personally betrayed the natural order. Emma slowly turned toward him, eyes wide behind her glasses. Logan tried to look modest but failed in a dignified way. Mr. Whitman continued. English tied for the highest score, math in the top group, science comprehensive. He paused, teasing that Logan had a human section after all. His science was solid but not elite. Some students laughed, relieved more than anything. The absolute beast had a weak spot. The villagers could finally sleep. Logan nodded seriously, appreciating the proof that he remained mortal. Ms. Anderson looked down at the list. He was first in the school and top tier overall. That was the line that changed the entire room. English made him interesting, and the exit pass made him noisy. The gate incident made him inconvenient. But this made him incredibly valuable. Brookfield High's top mock exam student had transferred over just 2 days after Westbridge High labeled him discipline problem. Somewhere, Logan hoped Mr. Morrison was enjoying a refreshing glass of karma. Emma slid her own score sheet toward him during the chaos. Her grades were actually much steadier than she believed. Strong English, solid Chinese, careful math, and science needing work. Logan told her she did well. She shook her head, murmuring, "Not like you. If everyone were like him, Ms. Anderson would resign." Emma smiled slightly. "Your composition improved," he said, pointing to the score. She looked down, admitting she used the community examples. "Ms. Blake, that is called tactical trust. It is called revision. Also tactical. It is called revision. Also tactical." Chloe leaned over before Emma could hide the paper. Next time she would beat them in English. Emma asked if she meant her, but Chloe said both and pointed at Logan, especially him. Logan called it healthy competition, terrifying but healthy. Mason mutters from the back, "First in Chinese does not mean you can fight." Logan turns, replying that is exactly why they are best buds. The class laughs so hard Mason's ears turn red as Ms. Anderson taps the lectern. She warns them both, one more word before lunch and there will be consequences. Specifically, she threatens to separate both of them from the concept of free speech. Logan objects. She just says, "Try her." He shuts his mouth before his survival instincts can file another official complaint. The rankings do not stay inside Brookfield High, and Ryan sends over Westbridge's reaction before dinner, saying Logan's score sheet hit their group chat. Group chat adding that Morrison urged everyone to stay calm. He says Dean Hayes is frantically asking who leaked the full ranking. Who leaked it? No one knows. This is a historical event, followed by a photo from their hallway showing someone had printed the 4-school ranking and circled Logan's name, where a student had scribbled a messy note. Talk about a public callout, but honestly, Logan respected the sheer spite of it. Later, Mr. Whitman finds Logan standing near the literature board after self-study, where the exit pass repost is still pinned, telling him he succeeded. He says Logan met the challenge, so his phone should now be free. Signed work. Talk about cruel, a brutal detail. Mr. Whitman hands over a thin folder, explaining they want an open class. The board leaders will attend next week as part of a review. They want student work to prove that Brookfield High encourages real learning. Mr. Whitman wants Logan to speak about his exit pass and exams. Logan looks at the folder, telling his teacher this sounds like a trap. But Whitman calls it an opportunity, saying Logan can try to decline. Logan opens the folder to find outlines, club notices, and board sheets. Nothing is too formal yet, but it feels like the ground is shifting. Under his feet, Westbridge High completely threw him away. Now Brookfield High is preparing to put him right before the board. Not a score reveal anymore, it is pure ammunition. Whitman watches him closely, warning Logan not to use this class to rant. He promises he would never, looking back at the literature board. He stares at the deleted repost and his name on the ranking. Logan promises he will, knowing this joint mock has become a massive slap. Next week, his new school wants him to make it sound incredibly polite. Director Marshall asks which school is better before Logan even touches the microphone. That is when he learns how adults can smile like a polished trap. The board inspection team stands near the entrance. Dean Roberts is hovering beside them like a very nervous host. It is like a dinner party where guests could cancel his livelihood. Mr. Whitman warned Logan to be smart, and Ms. Anderson agreed. She specifically warned him to use fewer jokes, which feels completely impossible. Now Director Marshall looks at his open class folder, staring at Logan. The director notes he recently transferred from Westbridge High, asking him to share which school he thinks is truly better, Westbridge High or Brookfield High. Dean Roberts' smile instantly froze. Ms. Anderson's eyes darted to him with the calm terror of a teacher watching a student step toward a cliff wearing tap shoes. This question absolutely eats. Students for breakfast, praising his old school meant Brookfield lost. Face trash his old school and he looked bitter. A useless answer made him look like a mere decoration with high grades, so he chose the path that would keep him alive. Westbridge High taught him pressure, he quietly told the director. And Brookfield High taught him balance. Director Marshall's eyebrows shot up. He quickly continued before the silence got dangerous. He explains he learned much at Westbridge, praising their strong academic pace. But after transferring, Ms. Anderson judged him solely by his actual classroom performance, while Mr. Whitman corrected his writing without treating mistakes like a crime, letting him prove himself through hard work instead of rumors. For any student preparing for exams, that really matters. Dean Roberts finally started. Breathing again, Director Marshall smiled, calling it a careful response, noting he was recently advised to avoid ranting. Mr. Whitman coughed once, a clear warning disguised as a simple respiratory issue. Another school leader laughed softly, while Director Marshall turned to Dean Roberts, noting the teachers gave the boy plenty of room. Dean Roberts nodded immediately. Brookfield believes students need both pressure and space. That line was clean enough to put on a banner. The dean looked incredibly grateful that someone left him a perfect sentence instead of a smoking ruin. Director Marshall then nodded toward the literature board. Ordering a photo there, our main character almost stood normally, but then Director Marshall asked if he was the student author of Exit Past. He confirmed it, along with ranking first in Chinese during the mock exams. Marshall asked which school should win the review. Talk about a trap inside a trap. He quietly stared at the literature board where his post still sat under the discussion thread. He glanced at Dean Roberts, who was trying to become invisible. Then he smiled, saying whichever school he attends should obviously win. Adult formality completely shattered. Director Marshall laughed and Ms. Anderson covered her mouth in shock. Mr. Whitman stared upward, praying for patience. From above, he added that since he currently attends Brookfield High, he is willing to take a photo and make the evidence look strong. Director Marshall pointed at him, calling him a bold management problem. The photo finally happened with Director Marshall, Dean Roberts, Mr. Whitman, Ms. Anderson, and him posing in front of the board. He held his score sheet because the director told him to, and because he was a humble guy who always respects leadership, especially when it involves showing off. Ryan saw the picture before the afternoon period ended and immediately messaged, "I leave you alone for one inspection and you join the government." I text Ryan's student culture review. Ryan Brooks texts back saying I am standing right next to Director Marshall. I text him I tripped into civic engagement. Ryan Brooks texts that he is posting this to the Westbridge High group. I text back to use flattering angles. Ryan Brooks replies he is corrupt but professional. Ryan Brooks texts back always and adds he is corrupt but professional. The photo spreads faster than a rumor with a scholarship attached. By evening, Ryan sends 3 more updates about the panic. Westbridge High teachers had seen it all. Mr. Morrison told Homeroom 204 not to discuss unverified online boasting. Dean Hayes asked the office, who let board leaders take photos with a transferred student. Then Westbridge High's PE department suddenly announced that public teasing and off-campus gatherings around students would be corrected. Amazing timing, truly mysterious. Policy flower blooming in the warm sunlight of career fear. The humor stopped right when my mother called. "Logan," she said with a careful voice. Dean Hayes called home. I stepped out behind the classroom building where the noise was lower. "What did he say?" He asked if you were adapting well and if there were file misunderstandings. The same people who had signed me away now wanted the door to stay unlocked. "Did he apologize?" My mother stayed quiet for one breath. "No, then it is not a discussion yet," she sighed. Your father asked why a dean suddenly cared after you transferred. Dad had joined the chat. Tell him I am fine, I said, and tell him not to sign or agree to anything if Westbridge High calls. We will not give them an inch. That answer settled something deep inside me. In the old life, my parents had been dragged from office to office and fed official shame. This time, Westbridge High had to call politely. Justice had not arrived yet, but movement had. The following week, the open literature class started. Mr. Whitman promised it would be simple, teacher language for many adults sitting in the back to judge your soul. The room filled with students first, then teachers, then Dean Roberts and Director Marshall's group. Ms. Anderson stood near the wall with arms folded, ready to drag me out by the collar if I joked around. Emma sat in the second row, hands folded on her notebook, looking nervous for me. Which was unfair because I planned to be nervous for myself and needed no help. Mason leaned against the back wall with two other boys, trying to look bored. He failed completely when he saw the leaders walk in. Mr. Whitman introduced me with a speech short enough to prove he respected oxygen. Logan Miller transferred to Brookfield High recently. He authored Exit Pass and ranked first in Chinese mocks. Today he will speak about writing, exams, and what students can do with limited time. He glanced at me briefly. I walked to the front with my score sheet and my printed Exit Pass draft. The reason I am showing my score sheet first, I said, holding it up, is simple. I am showing off. The students laughed immediately. Mr. Whitman closed his eyes. Director Marshall smiled. Also, I continued, if I talk about discipline before proving I can pass an exam, everyone thinks I am just blowing smoke. Simple, he was just showing off. The students laughed immediately while Mr. Whitman closed. His eyes, Director Marshall smiled. Logan continued, arguing that if he talked about discipline before proving he could pass an exam, everyone would think he was just bluffing. Just another guy with a hobby and a loud mouth. He admits his mouth is big, but he prefers to bring actual documents. That gets a bigger laugh. Then he sets the score. Sheet down, the Exit Pass did not magically save his grades. It just taught him to do simple things repeatedly. Check the logic. Cut the useless clever line. Answer the actual question, then do it again. Mr. Whitman's face softens a fraction. So far, the kid had not embarrassed his profession. When he transferred, people called him a problem student. Some still do. That is fine. Labels are easy. Work is harder. Brookfield High gave him a classroom where his work could answer. Ms. Anderson did not ask him to perform guilt. Mr. Whitman did not praise his writing and ignore his mistakes. They gave him pressure that pointed forward. The room goes quiet. He knows exactly where the rat lived. It was right there behind his teeth, carrying Mr. Morrison's face and Dean Hayes's voice. He could have opened the cage and made the room gasp. Instead, he looks at Emma. She was watching him like she trusted him to choose the better choice, so he did. If there is one thing he learned, he says, it is that facts matter more when people want to set them aside. Scores, drafts, apologies, improvement. Do the simple things repeatedly, and sooner or later, the story people tell about him has to fight the evidence. For a second, nobody moves. Then someone near the back calls out, "Beast." Another student picks it up, "Beast." Then half the room starts chanting it because students can turn any serious moment into a sports event, given 3 seconds and poor supervision. Beast, beast, beast. He did not start it, and he wants the record to show that. Clearly, Mr. Whitman taps the lectern. Enough. They just get louder. Ms. Anderson hides a smile behind her hand. Mason from the back wall does not chant, but he watches him differently, less like a target, more like a puzzle that had insulted him and then solved itself in public. Director Marshall claps first. The leaders follow. The students shift from chanting into applause, and for one clean breath, he was not Westbridge High's expelled problem, not Madison's former shield, not Dean Hayes's file threat. He was Brookfield High's student, who should not have hit as hard as he did. After class, Director Marshall shakes his hand. He tells him he was great at walking near the line without crossing it. The director says, recent training, Brookfield High is lucky to have him. Dean Roberts looks like someone handed him a gold bar with a student ID attached. Mr. Whitman waits until the leaders move away before leaning toward him. You almost ranted, he whispers, but he did not. He noticed. Can that be his new Chinese score? No, too cruel. The school posts the open class video that afternoon. The clip they chose features his "do simple things repeatedly" line, the score sheet joke. And that wild chant, within an hour, students are quoting it in the forum. Within 2 hours, Ryan sends a screenshot from Westbridge High's group chat. Ryan Messages that Morrison calls the chant childish. Our boy messages back that Morrison deleted a praise post and bribed Ryan with breakfast money. Ryan messages he said nothing because he is a professional informant. Then Ryan messages that Dean Hayes ordered teachers not to comment on board matters. Ryan adds they are just scared. He should have enjoyed that. No longer. Instead, Logan sat in the library after school, a class video playing silently on one tab and a supplier page open on another. That supplier page belonged to Willow Lace Boutique. He chose that category for a pretty ugly reason. He remembered it from his old life. A small online store in that niche had blown up around Christmas because of its algorithm timing, packaging, and comfort-focused basics hit exactly when holiday shopping went wild. It was legal, boring if described responsibly, and embarrassing enough to make a grown man reconsider every life choice. Perfect. His public image had just become an inspiring student author. His private tab was full of wholesale comfort wear and shipping charts talk about absolute duality, character development, academic excellence with inventory risk. Logan covered the product thumbnails when Emma walked by because he had survival instincts in at least one category. She paused at his table, asking if he was writing, researching for the novel. No, for capitalism. She tilted her head, calling that dangerous. He agreed it usually is. The problem was capital. The open class video had given him attention, but attention did not buy inventory. His small savings could cover the store set up in the first test batch. If the trend hit the way he remembered, orders would outrun his wallet fast. He looked at the video, then the supplier page, then Emma's careful expression. Fame, romance, and business pressure had arrived at the same table. Some people got a peaceful senior year, apparently. He got a literature channel and a store category he could not explain without lowering his voice. Madison tried to add him back the same afternoon he became Brookfield High's inspirational video clip. The timing was so shameless it deserved a certificate. Her friend Request sat on his phone while he was still in the library, pretending the Willow Lace supplier page was normal academic research. The message preview came with her usual soft panic. Madison Cole messaged asking Logan, please. Mr. Morrison says the board video is making things complicated, and she just wanted to talk to him like before. Like before, that phrase had enough mold on it to qualify as a biology sample. He screenshotted the request, sent it to his private folder, and declined it. Then he looked at Emma, who was still standing beside the table with her notebook hugged to her chest. Miss Blake, he said. If she watched movies, she blinked, sometimes. Excellent, he was doing field research into whether inspirational student authors can survive normal social activities. She asked if he was inviting her. Yes, she looked at his laptop where he had slammed the lid down a little too quickly. For capitalism, for cinema. She reminded him she lent him money, but he repaid that this morning. He repaid the gate money this morning. She knew, then why mention it? Emma's ears went pink because she was not used to being asked to movies. That shut his mouth for half a second, a rare public holiday. Then he would ask clearly, Emma Blake, will you watch a movie with me this weekend? She looked down at her notebook. She had to ask her father. That was allowed, and she was not buying the tickets. Logan invited her, so he pays. That sounds like debt. It sounds like a date. She froze. He probably should have softened it. Too late. The word sat between them, huge and ridiculous in formal shoes. Emma's voice dropped. A date. If he hated that word, they could call it a cultural field trip with snacks. Her mouth moved. A date was fine. He kept both feet on the floor, making no victory speech, preserving his library privileges under Miss Anderson's jurisdiction. He simply nodded like an adult, but inside, his brain cells ran directly into a wall. The movie was 2 days later. He brought milk tea because affection without logistics was just poetry pretending to be useful. Emma arrived in a white dress under her coat, holding her handbag in both hands. She looked so different from the quiet window girl that his first instinct was to joke before his face gave away too much. Miss Blake, he said, you have betrayed the seating chart. She looked down at her dress, asking if it was strange. Very, he replied. Her shoulders tightened. Strange how his vocabulary had become useless. She looked up, and the worry left her eyes. Slowly say the truth, then stop. He was learning. They watched a movie. Neither of them remembered afterward. That was probably the film's fault, but he was willing to accept partial responsibility. Emma sat beside him with both hands around her milk tea for the first 20 minutes, like the cup was a Legal guardian, halfway through, her fingers rested on the armrest. His rested beside them. The gap between their hands became the most dramatic thing in the theater. Honestly, forget the actors. Two seniors trying to touch hands without causing a national incident had more suspense than the entire plot. When his fingers finally brushed hers, she did not pull away, so he held her hand. Emma stared at the screen with heroic concentration. Your hand is warm, she whispered. He joked that he studied. She pressed her lips together, trying not to smile. After the movie, he gave her the bracelet. It was simple, silver-toned with a small pale charm, nothing expensive enough to scare her, nothing cheap enough to insult the moment. He had picked it because she used her hands like careful instruments, writing, adjusting her glasses, folding apology notes, lending money with a calm face while making sure he wrote a debt record. This is not repayment, he said before she could object. The debt record is separate. This is because he wanted to. Emma held the bracelet. Her palm. Why, she asked. Because when everyone was calling him a problem, she asked whether he was okay. Because she told him the novel was good before it made him famous. Because she warned him about Mason even when she barely knew him. She blinked fast, whispering that was a lot of because. He cut several for time. She laughed quietly. He fastened the bracelet around her wrist, and for once neither of them made the moment smaller. Her hand trembled a little. His did too, then. Because he was still himself, he offered to walk her home tonight. Emma's eyes widened just to her door. He clarified quickly. Public sidewalk, fully legal, no dramatic misunderstanding, package included. She clutched her handbag tighter. She knew, but she did not look like she knew. She was confirming. With that handbag defense stance, she looked away, pink to the ears. Maybe that tiny misunderstanding should not have made him as happy as it did. Ryan ruined the softness. 3 minutes later, Ryan Brooks appeared across the street, with a skewer in one hand and the expression of a man who had discovered. He shouted for Logan Miller and Miss Blake. Logan just closed his eyes. Emma whispered, "Is that Ryan?" Sadly, yes, and Ryan raised his phone. Ryan told them to smile for evidence. Logan threatened to preserve his spine separately. He snapped the photo anyway. Total disaster. By evening, the picture went viral. It spread to 2 class chats because Ryan treated privacy like a myth. Logan did not even bother to deny it. When someone online asked if Exit was dating Emma Blake, he responded with only one single sentence. He wrote that Miss Blake owed the seating chart a serious explanation. Emma saw the comment and buried her face in her notebook for ages. Miss Anderson walked past their row, looking down at Emma's protective notebook. She remarked class gossip was not homework. Logan replied that limits their choices. She countered that it also saved her from assigning boring reflection papers. The classroom instantly grew quiet. Emma finally relaxed, and Logan took note of that. He filed it under quiet adult intervention. Sadly, Madison also saw the post. Logan knew because Ryan texted him a screenshot from the Westbridge group chat. Someone had posted their photo online, and Madison had completely shut down again. Silence was her new reality. Chloe also saw it. The next morning, she slid into the empty seat right in front of them with a fresh bun. Looking very dramatic, Chloe teased that the author had a secret date and bracelet. She mentioned his hidden laptop tab, making Logan freeze as Emma looked over. Chloe smiled sweetly, demanding breakfast. If you ask me, she had him totally cornered. She would ask why an inspirational author was researching Willa Lace Boutique. Emma stared at him, busted. Logan realized consequences arrived wearing glossy lipstick. Logan defended that it was just a shop, but Emma's cold stare stayed fixed. He quickly added it was a totally legal store for comfortable apparel. Non-explicit, boring, just a niche with awkward branding. Chloe laughed so hard she set her food down, teasing him about selling. He claimed he was evaluating a market, but Chloe called it a guilty excuse. Emma adjusted her glasses, asking why that market, and Logan briefly considered lying. But after his previous secrets, lying to Emma now would be incredibly foolish. He explained that online niche sales spiked dramatically during the winter holidays, especially when the product is highly practical, priced right, and packaged very discreetly. Logan remembered seeing a similar store explode with huge sales before. It was embarrassing, but the demand was absolutely real. Chloe questioned him, but Logan smoothly claimed he read about it online. This lie was close enough to the truth without exposing his secrets. Emma looked down at her new bracelet, then stared back at Logan. She asked if he needed money. No way, that debt was fully paid. He had not borrowed for the shop, and he did not intend to. Emma nodded in relief. Chloe leaned forward, demanding her free breakfast. Logan agreed, demanding absolute silence about his weird online business in exchange. Chloe demanded 2 breakfasts instead. Logan countered with 1 plus English help. Chloe paused and eagerly accepted the deal, while Emma watched them in confusion. Emma watched them too fast. Logan joked academic jealousy is a solid currency. The Willow Lace store went live that very night, keeping everything clean and simple. No explicit descriptions, no ridiculous slogans, basic size guides, and discreet shipping. Plus professional customer service templates that made them look like a real business. Far from some sweaty teenager hiding behind a keyboard, Ryan ran the first promo wave. He blasted his online contacts, sending exactly 1 simple sentence to multiple groups. His text was blunt, telling everyone his friend opened a mystery comfort shop. He wrote to use the link if they were adults with taste, warning them not to ask questions. The protagonist called him immediately, demanding to know what he meant by adult. Ryan argued mystery cells, claiming boring categories never go viral. He was dead wrong. Wrong in principle, but highly effective. The very first orders came rolling in. Before midnight hit, they just kept coming. Small numbers, but absolutely real. Real names, real addresses, and real cash. The main character stared at his dashboard in disbelief. Exam scores are nice, but honestly, seeing real cash roll in hits different. The business did not applaud. It demanded packaging, quick replies, and inventory. Dealing with refunds, shipping schedules, and scrambling for enough cash just to survive. By sunrise, the order volume completely blew past what his tiny test batch could handle. Success was within reach, but so was a massive crisis. Then Mason cornered him. They met behind the gym during lunch. Mason looked terrible, completely exhausted, not angry. His school jacket was messy, and his hair was totally unstyled. Completely uncharacteristic of him. Plus, he did not even start with a threat. That silence changed the vibe instantly. He asked if the main character hired workers. Closing his phone dashboard, our guy replied that it depended entirely on the job. Mason stared down, admitting his grandmother was hospitalized again and his dad was recently injured. He desperately needed money. The tough guy act was completely gone, replaced by raw desperation. His pride was being dragged through the dirt. Our main character had always hated him. It was easy to hate a bully who threatened him and brought outside thugs. Yet looking at him now, struggling to find the words, he did not resemble Tyler. Tyler had backing, but Mason was drowning beneath his pathetic tough guy armor. When asked if he wanted a loan, Mason's jaw tightened as he snapped to forget it. Our main character stopped him, clarifying he did not give handouts, but he had work. Mason turned back, highly suspicious, asking what kind of work he meant. Sorting orders, packaging, shipping logistics, and keeping the quiet operations strictly private. Drop the attitude around clients, get paid per batch, and earn a bonus for clean work. Mason stared as if he had just been offered a weird lifeline. He asked if he was seriously being hired. Our protagonist shook his head. He wanted Mason to work for cash. He was just the boss. Mason asked what if he failed. A simple reply followed. He would get fired. For once, Mason almost smiled. Calling our guy arrogant, Mason looked away and insisted nobody must ever find out. The solution was simple, do the job quietly, but Mason wondered why he was helping. Hiring a rival was incredibly efficient, but that was only half the truth. The real reason lay in his exhausted expression. Needing cash did not make someone weak. Acting like a cruel jerk just to earn respect was the real weakness. Mason swallowed hard. The tension was heavy as he quietly agreed to try. Trying is nice, but orders need correct addresses. Mason rolled his eyes, breaking the tension. That afternoon, the former school bully reluctantly stepped into his new logistics role. He sat in an empty classroom, quietly learning how to manage the business. Mason struggled to answer customer messages for Willow Lace without sounding like he was about to challenge someone to a fight. It was painful but also highly productive. By the end of the hour, he had processed 12 orders, made 3 address corrections, and asked whether the store name was supposed to sound like a mushroom. It is. Willow Lace, she said. It is memorable and sounds like a snack, so did your intimidation strategy. He glared but kept typing. The order count kept climbing. Emma watched them from the doorway after school, bracelet on her wrist, expression thoughtful, asking if he worked for her now. Mason stiffened. She replied that he worked for money, and Emma nodded. Mason looked at the bracelet, then at her, then wisely chose silence. Maturity was spreading. Frightening, that night the store crossed a number she had not expected. Until the end of the week, Ryan sent 3 screaming messages, Chloe demanded. Her breakfast before she raised consulting fees, Mason sent a photo of. Packed order slips, captioning it done and demanding accurate pay. She looked at the dashboard, then at Emma's unpaid emotional trust. Sitting inside every decision she made, the store was real, the date was real. Mason's need was real, and then, right before midnight, the class group chat exploded. A Brookfield High student claimed he had been admitted early to Rockwell University through a private entrance channel. No SAT needed, pay the fee, pass the private exam, secure the future. Mason messaged her at the same time. Mason messaged that orders were rising and more inventory was needed. She stared at the fake admission link on one side of her screen and the willow lace order dashboard on the other. 2 problems, both hungry for money, only one of them was real. Caleb Warren announced he escaped the SAT before first period, which was how she knew the fake Rockwell scam had arrived. He stood near the front row with his phone held up like a trophy. The screen showed a red stamped admission notice, a private consultation account, and enough official-looking language to make nervous parents hear wedding bells from a university gate. Caleb boasted about early Rockwell University admission through a private channel his uncle knew. The class moved toward him like someone had opened a bag of future. She stayed in her seat. Willow lace orders were still rising on her phone. Mason had already sent 2 messages asking whether they should reorder packaging. She had planned to spend the morning pretending she was a normal student with normal problems, which was adorable of her. Then Caleb said no SAT was needed. Every head turned sharper. In senior year, no SAT needed was not a sentence. It was a weapon disguised as dessert. Someone near the window asked if it was real, and Caleb puffed up, saying his family paid the review fee last night. Finish the exam and the seat is held. Held, review fee, private exam. Seat guaranteed. The scam had not even changed its shoes. From her old life, she walked over and looked at the notice. The logo was close, the wording was smooth, and the contact number was 1 digit away from looking respectable. A lazy scam would have been easier. This one had done homework, which was rude because homework belonged to students suffering. Legally, call Rockwell's official admissions. That is just the admission office, Logan said. Caleb glared, claiming he already called. You dialed the flyer number, Logan explained. That is just the fake office number. It is printed by people who only want your money. Now watch. The classroom went quiet, realizing things were about to get interesting. Caleb's smile tightened, demanding to know if he got tricked. Logan simply told him to call the official university number. Caleb snapped, are you just jealous? Pride had arrived wearing a student uniform, holding onto a completely counterfeit future. Logan took out his own phone and searched the official Rockwell University site, offering the real number. Caleb refused it while the entire class stared. Everyone watched. Chloe looked from Caleb to Logan, slowly lowering her breakfast bun. Emma had gone completely still by the window, her shiny bracelet catching the light. Ms. Anderson entered at exactly the wrong time for peace, but exactly the right moment for survival. Why is everyone standing? She asked, as one boy quickly answered. Caleb got into Rockwell through a private channel, another added, Ms. Anderson's gaze drifted to Caleb's phone, then to Logan. She had a sharp teacher sense for times when Logan's words were about to turn into school paperwork. Logan, she said, give me the short version. Caleb's family likely paid a fake admissions office. They must call the official school number, not the one on this flyer. Caleb snapped that he did not know that. Fine, Logan replied, then prove me wrong. In front of everyone, it was a bit unfair, yet completely effective. Caleb took Logan's phone like he was holding a poisonous snake. Ms. Anderson stood beside him as he dialed the official number on speaker. The entire class held its breath. The line connected. Ms. Anderson handled the introduction because adults sounded much more professional. Less chaotic to other adults, she quickly introduced their high school name, explaining that a student received a private entrance admission notice, and reading the number printed on the flyer. The admissions officer on the other end went silent for 3 seconds before stating, Rockwell University has no private entrance channels for final year high school students, so please do not transfer any money, keep all records, and report it to local police. Caleb's face completely changed. The pride drained first, then his color. For Logan, this was an early reward, tasting like sweet relief mixed with deep dread. Ms. Anderson took the paper from his hands, asking if his family had paid. Caleb swallowed. A deposit, but how much? He whispered his answer, and the joke officially ended. Ms. Anderson did not scold him. Good teachers always knew when a student had already been punched hard by reality. Call your parents now, she said, tell them not to send another cent. She ordered Logan to send the official link and a screenshot of this. Notice, she told the class monitor to contact Dean Roberts, ordering everyone else to sit down and stop sharing the rumor until the school verified it. The students moved fast. Fear did what regular announcements never could. Within 20 minutes, Brookfield High had the flyer, Caleb's chat logs, and 2 other students admitting their families had inquired about the same trick. Dean Roberts soon walked into the classroom looking like a man whose peaceful morning had just been dragged behind a bus. He listened to Ms. Anderson, then looked at the official school website, calling the district police liaison straight from the hallway. Logan kept his face completely neutral, while old memories slowly unrolled. With ugly precision, in his past life, the scam spread through parent groups. For days before anyone realized it was fake, multiple families had already sent money they never fully recovered. Westbridge High was one of the loudest schools hit because parents there loved shortcuts, especially if they came with elite branding. This time they caught it before lunch. That mattered. He sent Ryan a quick message, warning him if anyone at Westbridge High mentions Rockwell early admission, tell them to call the official website number, not the flyer number, and to screenshot everything. Ryan answered in 12 seconds, jokingly asking if the admission came with a free fantasy certificate. Logan texted back with a warning, prompting Ryan to get serious. Just 3 minutes later, Ryan sent the first screenshot. He messaged that Madison had posted. Logan felt his stomach tighten immediately. Madison had not posted the whole notice. Of course she had not. She shared the pretty part, the red seal, the congratulations line, and a caption about finally finding a path that did not depend on people wanting her to fail. Extremely subtle. Ryan immediately stepped in to warn her in the group chat. Ryan texted her to call the real Rockwell number from the official website because Brookfield High checked and the flyer is fake. Brianna Wells answered before Madison could, immediately accusing Logan of being bitter about Madison getting good news without him. Believe me, the drama was just starting. Ryan shot back, wishing that Westbridge High would develop a second explanation besides jealousy. Brianna kept defending her, saying Ryan was only repeating what Logan told him. Ryan boldly confirmed that Logan was annoying but incredibly sharp with scams. Madison finally joined the chat. She begged Ryan not to spread panic, claiming her parents already confirmed with the office. Ryan forwarded this screenshot to Logan with a single comment, noting they had clearly called the scam number. Logan looked across the classroom. Caleb was out in the hallway, phone pressed to his ear, shoulders hunched, while Ms. Anderson stood nearby. A boy who had been bragging 10 minutes ago now looked like a child trying to keep his parents from falling into a trap. Logan texted back, telling Ryan to make Madison call the official number on speaker. If she refuses, send the Brookfield High verification screenshot and stop arguing. Ryan warned she would just claim jealousy. Logan replied that she could then easily be scammed with confidence. That sounded colder than he actually felt. The old Logan would have happily watched her lose money, having earned that bitterness. Honestly, but this involved family savings, not just her petty pride. This was about families panicking in kitchens, fathers moving money, and mothers desperately hoping their child had one clean way out. Revenge was sweet, but watching innocent people pay for a liar's arrogance was not. So Ryan sent the warning again, this time with the official number, the Rockwell website screenshot, and Ms. Anderson's classroom verification note. Westbridge High did what Westbridge High was becoming famous for, it argued. With clear evidence, by noon Brianna called Ryan bitter. Madison went completely quiet, and Mr. Morrison told Homeroom 204 not to spread unconfirmed. That theory was a complete joke, completely off target in every single way. Brookfield High, on the other hand, moved quickly to protect themselves. Dean Roberts sent emergency alerts directly to parent group chats. Ms. Anderson demanded that all student flyers be forwarded immediately. The police arrived. 2 plainclothes officers walked in right before self-study. They looked completely exhausted, in the professional way adults got tired. Instead of a boring lecture, they got straight to business with us. They gave 3 simple rules: save records, stop paying, and use official numbers. Pure common sense. The cops asked who started this verification. Ms. Anderson pointed right at Logan, who awkwardly waved his hand to stay low-key. The detective stared at him, then at the viral forum video. He basically noted that staying low-key was going to be impossible now. And honestly, that failure was a blessing. Real results arrived by afternoon. Dean Roberts announced that because Brookfield acted early. The bank and police froze the receiving accounts immediately. This successfully saved almost all the money parents had already sent. Caleb collapsed into his chair like a ragdoll, burying his face in his hands. He whispered that his mom was literally about to pay the second fee tonight. Ms. Anderson firmly told him that tonight she definitely would not be paying. Those simple words hung in the quiet room, carrying massive weight. Cash stayed safe. Meanwhile, the situation over at Westbridge got worse. Ryan sent a frantic voice note from a very noisy place. He warned that Westbridge parents were completely losing their minds. Morrison kept pleading for calm, but furious families demanded immediate answers. They wanted to know why Brookfield got a warning first. Another screenshot showed furious parent groups sharing the leaked police report. And right there on the report, Logan Miller was credited as the source. Because his file was still updating, he was listed under his old class. They labeled him a Westbridge student before finally correcting it. But the outraged parent group only focused on that one key detail. Logan Miller, the kid they exiled, had just saved a rival school. Ryan sent photos of absolute chaos erupting in their offices. An angry mother in a beige coat held up her phone, screaming for answers. She demanded to know why their expelled student was the only smart one. An angry father hunted down the teacher of room 204. They yelled that Brookfield saved their money while Westbridge saved face. Then came the absolute craziest update of the entire day. Ryan messaged that they finally cornered Morrison, attaching a blurry photo. Morrison was trapped in his office, completely surrounded by parents. He tried to look concerned, but nobody was buying it. Furious parents demanded to know why he had ignored Logan's warning. For months, Westbridge treated Logan like a problem they had exiled. Now those same parents wanted to know why that problem saved everyone. Logan looked over at Caleb, who was finally safe from the disaster. Then he watched Ms. Anderson calmly organize the pile of paperwork. Logan looks at the willow-lace dashboard, flashing another order on his phone. One scam is stopped, but real financial trouble still remains. Across town, Westbridge High parents crowd the principal's hallway. They surround the office. Panic is rising. While the office becomes an unpaid service counter, Mason finds a new problem. The online store has triggered a massive emergency all by itself. He corners Logan, then shoves a phone in his face. "We cannot ship this," he snaps. That is his new greeting. Normal people say good morning. Mason prefers sheer operational panic. The dashboard metrics hit a level that makes Logan's stomach do a flip. Orders spiked after Ryan's promotion, then they surged even higher. Buyers love the incredibly fast delivery and the highly discreet packaging. No weird gimmicks. Success is beautiful, but it has sharp teeth. We need inventory, plus shipping boxes and time to reply. Logan has class, Mason has buyers. Senior year is absolute torture. He gives Logan a flat look, offers to skip his self-study. Absolutely not. Delayed shipping means they need a system. Mason looks personally offended by that word. Tough guys hate structure. He prefers physical problems. Suddenly, the school bell rings. Logan heads inside with his friend. Both face the same reality. Future Memories stopped a scam, but they cannot package boxes. Knowing the future does not print labels or handle complaints. Their teacher, Ms. Anderson, intercepts them before class starts. She asks why they look like they committed major accounting fraud. Mason stays dead silent, pure cowardice from his best friend. Logan speaks up. He requests special computer access in the library. She asks if it is for studying. Well, studying adjacent. Her gaze sharpens. Logan must run a completely clean legal business. No class disruptions. Also, Mason cannot skip school for paid work. Mason grumbles that she makes it sound awful. She calls it professional. During the break, Ms. Anderson drags them straight to the office. She makes him pull up the storefront dashboard and active orders. Her face shifts from teacher concern to sudden adult realization. Next comes the professional regret of letting teenagers access the internet. Pressing her fingers to her head, she calls Logan a crazy kid. Logan accepts that review. She asks if this is his real business. He confirms the products are just standard comfort apparel. No explicit content, no school logos, and absolutely no illegal items. She asks if Mason handles customer support under proper supervision. Mason frowns, protesting that he is sitting right there. She ignores him. She stares Mason down until he blinks, highly efficient woman. Then she summons Mr. Thompson directly from the science department. He arrives carrying a massive stack of worksheets with a miserable look. This is a man who clearly views human joy as an optional elective. He listens for 30 seconds, then says Logan's science grades make no sense. Running a store gets him completely ignored, while he sarcastically notes how everyone supposedly supports his dreams. Mr. Thompson points out that Cooper's math is worse than his inventory planning. Mason looks deeply wounded. To him, this feels highly personal. Ms. Anderson folds her arms and lays down a strict bargain. Absolutely no class messages allowed, only study after lunch. Logan tutors him. Mason works after finishing assigned homework. Mr. Thompson checks his science work twice a week. If grades drop, the deal dies. Mason looks up. Ms. Anderson reminds him he is a senior. Not some warehouse ghost, but they got library access, their first small victory. The cost, Logan adopted an employee with homework. Chloe hears about this arrangement long before lunch even starts. Brookfield High gossip spreads faster than a disease, after all. She blocks the library doorway with Grace Foster beside her, staring right at Mason. He sits in front of a physics worksheet and a pile of order slips. Chloe asks if he is actually studying, but Mason does not even look up once. The worksheet sits under his elbow with only 3 completed problems. Chloe leans closer. Grace whispers to Emma that the paper is lying. She calls this the strangest romance side effect she has ever seen, making Emma blush instantly. Emma insists it is not because of her. Logan looks up from his ledger. He jokingly tells her to take credit. Mason chucks an eraser at Logan and misses. Logan mockingly sighs at his terrible aim. Right then, Mr. Thompson appears in the doorway. Mason snatches the eraser, returning to work like a man choosing survival. But of course, that perfect system only lasts for 6 hours before everything goes sideways. The dreaded inventory quote arrives. Logan prepared for ugly, but not this. He cleared emotional space for ugly, but these numbers still make his throat close. The supplier will only hold the critical stock for 1 single day. After that, the entire holiday batch will immediately be sold off to another waiting buyer. Refunds will eat all profit, and customers will completely vanish. Mason's hard work will become a lesson in hope, mismanaged by a broke student. Logan tries every clean option first, desperately searching for a way out of this tight spot. Ryan has reach, not capital. Asking Mason for money is out of the question. His personal savings and order deposits only cover a small fraction of the stock. Slower purchasing is safer, but it completely kills their golden opportunity. By evening, the complicated ledger looks like a math problem designed by a total villain. Emma sits across from him in the quiet library, watching him closely. Fortunately, Grace dragged Chloe away before she could offer overconfident advice with zero financial backing. Mason is in the corner, answering messages after completing his assigned problems. He grumbles at every polite sentence like customer service insults his ancestors. Emma looks at the ledger. She asks how much is missing. He hates when she uses his name. It works too well. Logan turns the notebook toward her to show the total. Her eyes widen, but she doesn't flinch, asking if the store can repay. Yes, if the orders hold, but if he misjudges the timing, the entire business falls apart. If the supplier delays or if he panics, it is a definite no. She tells Emma to stop making foolish promises. She is one motivational video away from becoming the exact type of person she loathes. Emma goes quiet, the heavy words sinking in. Closing her ledger, Blake tries to end the talk, but Emma softly says no. Emma tells her to speak, so Blake confesses. She hates when people exploit trust like Madison. Her high school used her record, and Dean Hayes abused his authority. She cannot take Emma's money and call it romance. She refuses to do that. Emma reaches into her bag. First, she pulls out a small bank envelope, offering it as her personal savings. She urges Blake to listen first. Blake instantly shuts her mouth, even though it hurts. Emma explains she saved the cash from her allowance and playing the piano. She can lend her own money officially, though they both know it is not enough. Emma agrees, then pulls out a card. Suddenly, the library goes dead silent. The plastic looks completely ordinary, which makes it even more terrifying. Real wealth is quiet. The card sits there, heavy and commanding, like an adult stepping into a noisy playroom. Emma reveals her father gave her the card to cover her personal expenses. It has a massive limit, $300,000. The sheer amount feels dizzying. The vast sum feels like a steep cliff. Suddenly, Mason stops typing in the corner. Blake keeps her eyes on Emma, refusing to turn this into a cold business deal. This immense trust is heavy enough to crush both of them. If handled wrong, it will destroy them. Blake refuses, making Emma's fingers tighten on the card. Emma insists she has terms, but Blake knows no condition makes this small. Emma does not want it small, silencing Blake. Though frightened, she also looks incredibly steady. People always mistake her silence for weakness. Emma brings up the past, mentioning how Blake repaid her debts and shared the store secrets with her. She recalls how Blake offered Mason a job instead of pity, and how she reported the scam early. Emma explains she is not lending this for a smile. Her voice wavers for a second, then steadies. She does this purely out of absolute trust in Blake's integrity. That hits much harder than any romantic confession. A confession only asks for feelings, but this demands Blake become someone truly worthy. Blake pushes the card back, firmly stating that they must have a strict contract first. They need a ledger, strict caps, and recorded transactions. Invoices must be attached, with store profits going directly to Emma first. If Emma's father demands answers, Blake promises she will not hide from him. The father will inspect the books, and he might assume Blake exploited his daughter. Emma's eyes show she already fears this, so they must maintain clear proof. They will keep proof. Any sense of humor remains entirely dead. Blake starts a fresh ledger page, noting the dates, sums, and strict terms. She pens each condition beautifully, making sure it survives any parental audit. Emma watches each line. Mason only approaches when called to witness the count. His expression is dead serious, with no jokes. He asks if Emma is sure. Emma nods, and Mason signs his name in messy, chaotic handwriting. He immediately goes back to the computer, processing incoming orders with absolute focus. He works like his entire family's livelihood depends on this store surviving. And in a way, it does. The crucial supplier payment clears that night. The company survives the terrible supply bottleneck, yet nobody is celebrating. Usually, massive achievements bring loud cheers, but this victory is entirely silent. When the open class video went live, crowds chanted. Once the store survived, the library stayed dead quiet. The only sounds were typing, the printer, and Emma's pen. Mason muttering customer names under his breath to avoid misspelling them. Hope was loud, duty was paperwork. Over the next 2 days, Mason changed in a way that annoyed everyone who wanted simple labels. He visited the library every single break, answering messages, printing lists, and finishing Mr. Thompson's assignments before touching customer chats. When classmates asked if he was punished, he said paid work and walked away. Chloe watched him through the library window. This is weird, she remarked. Growth often is. Logan replied. Chloe told him not to make it sound noble. Inside, Mason frowned heavily over a tricky physics equation, erased half his progress, and stubbornly tried again. Chloe's expression changed for a split second before she hid it. Grace, standing beside Emma, whispered that he looked incredibly serious. He is, Emma replied without a hint of a tease in her voice. By the third day, Mr. Thompson checked Mason's worksheet and made a low grunt. Mason stiffened. Wrong, no, just less wrong. Mason looked at Logan, wondering if that was praise. Logan joked it was a parade. Then Mr. Thompson handed him his paper next, telling Miller his own science corrections were incomplete. The short-lived parade crushed him instantly. Miss Anderson approved the library schedule for another week. Since grades hadn't dropped, work happened strictly outside of class, and Mason stopped treating homework like a mortal enemy. That should have been the end of the life chapter titled Business Stress with educational benefits, but then Ryan sent a warning from Westbridge High. Brooks texted that parents were still furious about Rockwell. Ryan Brooks messaged that Morrison claimed Logan left voluntarily. Ryan Brooks added, Dean Hayes believed school records would clarify misunderstandings. Logan stared at that line. Talk about a chill. Those same polite words had come from his mother before. Now they were walking directly toward his door. His phone rang before he could answer. Ryan. Mom's. He picked up immediately. Logan. She whispered, keeping her voice low. Dean Hayes and Mr. Morrison are downstairs. The library lights hummed above him. Emma's card record sat open in his ledger while Mason packed order slips. Emma sat beside him, quiet and trusting. with 300,000 reasons for her father to hate his face if he failed her. Westbridge High had finally brought his files straight to his home, and this time he had far too much to lose to enjoy the drama. By the time he reached home, Westbridge High parents had already turned Mr. Morrison into a hallway exhibit of a teacher dodging consequences, texting Logan those photos while he was still riding in the taxi, parents packed the office corridor shoulder to shoulder. Phones were raised, their faces were red. Mr. Morrison stood near the door with his fake teacher smile stretched incredibly thin. It resembled plastic wrap. Ryan Brooks texted him next, saying someone asked why Logan saved Brookfield High families, but Westbridge High merely told people not to panic. Ryan Brooks messaged that Morrison claimed Logan had already transferred, meaning Westbridge High couldn't control his behavior. Ryan Brooks messaged. A parent asked who made him transfer. Ryan then texted. Silence achieved a rare species. For once, Westbridge High's favorite, the man who called Logan someone else's problem, walked back into the office followed by a crowd of angry parents. Then Ryan sent another text. Ryan messaged that Dean Hayes just left. Guess where? Logan looked out the taxi window at the apartment gate ahead, whispering yes. He muttered that he had a guess. Dean Hayes called this a visit. To them, a threat became guidance, and panic was repackaged as concern. Reputation surgery arrived at his apartment wearing shoe covers. When Logan opened the apartment door, his mother stood near the kitchen, tense but steady. His father sat on the sofa with his work jacket still on. Across from him were Dean Hayes and Mr. Morrison, both holding paper folders as if those folders had been sharpened on the way over. Hayes looked at Logan first. Hayes greeted Logan, saying they came to clarify some misunderstandings. Logan changed shoes slowly. Last time Westbridge High clarified anything, he lost his school. Mr. Morrison's mouth tightened while his father looked over, telling Logan to sit. That was Dad's way of warning him not to drop a bomb before knowing where the windows were. Before Dean Hayes opened the folder, Logan sent Ryan a quick message under the table. He told Ryan to be ready to send the parent office photos again. Ryan jokingly agreed. Logan kept the chat open beside his screenshots ready. With his parents as witnesses and Ryan holding the evidence, he was set. Dean Hayes laid the file down, claiming the recent scam caused some parents to raise emotional questions and misunderstand the entire transfer process. Logan interrupted, asking why he was not at Westbridge High. When the warning arrived, Hayes countered that Logan chose Brookfield High. His mother folded her hands, questioning if Logan actually chose or if they threatened to ruin his future. The room fell silent. Logan looked at his mother, but her focus remained on Dean Hayes. That hit Logan hard. In his past life, she was always exhausted by shame, but now she had facts and refused to back down for anyone. Dean Hayes tried to remain calm, addressing Mrs. Miller by explaining that disciplinary talks often sound harsh. Then his father leaned forward, asking why they only visited after the parents got angry. His father had cornered them. Mr. Morrison quickly tried to claim they cared about Logan's future and did not want anything to hurt his records. Logan scoffed, calling that sudden concern a total novelty. Mr. Morrison used his strict teacher voice, telling Logan to understand that schools need reputation. Logan replied that he understood it perfectly. Westbridge High deleted their praise post after discovering he wrote exit pass. Then they accused him of copying, using Madison and Ryan to force a stop. They even ignored a scam warning just to paint Logan as jealous. Morrison flinched at Ryan's name. Logan kept quiet about the $60. He knew some evidence was a knife, and you never reveal every blade early. Dean Hayes tapped the folder, insisting this was why they needed a calm solution. He proposed posting a clarification that Logan's transfer was perfectly normal, showing both schools cooperating to quiet the parents down. They promised to protect him from hostile questions so he can focus on his SAT. They also offer to clean his file so it has no negative language. They had not come to command him. They had come to ask him to help them look innocent. He almost smiled, almost. Then he remembered his mother sitting across from the same school that had once made her lower her head, and his smile died instantly. No, he said. Dean Hayes's eyes narrowed. Logan made it clear a vague cooperation statement would not work. Neither would a normal transfer or pretending both schools handled this well. Mr. Morrison's voice sharpened, demanding to know what he wanted. That sentence was worth framing. Westbridge High had finally asked what he wanted. He took out his phone and opened the folder holding all his screenshots. Madison's first message, Westbridge High's deleted praise, the Brookfield High repost, and the open class video with Ryan's warning screenshots. He placed the phone on the table, screen up so his parents could see each item as he named them. Public correction, he demanded. Westbridge High must state that he did not copy exit pass, that their earlier deletion created a misunderstanding, and his transfer record must not include any discipline language from the Tyler incident. Dean Hayes went very still. Logan continued, demanding Tyler Hayes' role be addressed properly, not hidden as student conflict, nor washed because he is his son. Logan's father looked at Dean Hayes, whose jaw tightened. Careful, the dean warned. Logan replied he was being careful. That was why he used names in his own living room and not on the school forum. His mother gasped, but she did not stop him. And Mr. Morrison must apologize, Logan added. Morrison laughed. For what? Exactly, for demanding self-reflection while completely ignoring facts, for letting Madison's tears outrank his messages, for trying to recover his novel's value. After Westbridge High threw away the student who actually wrote it, for a second no one spoke, then Logan's father spoke up, calling those demands completely reasonable. Mr. Morrison stared at him like he had just discovered a second, adult version of Logan. Dean Hayes closed the folder, saying he was asking Westbridge High to embarrass itself. No, Logan replied. Westbridge High did that to themselves. He was just asking for a receipt. Westbridge High had come to his home, placed his file on their table, and realized the discarded student now had terms. He did not have to shout, beg, or slam an office door to make them hear those terms. Dean Hayes did not accept those conditions. Men like him treated accountability like a contagious disease, but he left with a completely different face than before. Before standing, the dean warned Logan that if he turned school honor into personal revenge, the school board would not tolerate it forever. Then Logan guessed Westbridge High should stop giving him so much material. His mother made a tiny sound that might have been a quiet cough, or perhaps for trying not to laugh. His dad stared at the floor. The Westbridge adults pretended not to notice. After they left, the apartment fell dead silent. His mother touched the screen where Madison's message sat, noting he kept everything. He replied that he learned from professionals. She looked at him warmly, then asking if he was tired. That question hit him deep. A little, he said. His dad stacked the folder Dean Hayes had forgotten back into its neat pile. Good, tired people should still eat, so they ate noodles at their small kitchen table while Westbridge High tried to decide how much honesty it could survive. The next morning, Madison was waiting near the bus stop. Logan knew before she even spoke that this was no apology. Apologies faced facts. Madison only faced angles, wearing that same soft expression on her face again. The one that used to make him feel chosen, but now made him search for traps. She called his name, asking to talk as several curious students slowed down. Westbridge gossip had legs, Brookfield gossip had wings, and this bus stop was right between. It was a public square on wheels. You were talking, Logan dryly replied. Her fingers tightened around her bag strap as she explained her parents were upset. Everyone was upset, and she admitted she should have checked the official number. Logan told her to start there, but she just stood there waiting for warmth. She explained she wanted to invite him to dinner for a small family meal. They could explain everything properly, she promised, just like they used to. Talk about shameless. That phrase had survived several disasters and learned absolutely nothing. Logan was blunt. The past was the problem. Her eyes brightened. She was not crying yet, just setting the stage for it. She asked if he hated her, but his quiet refusal startled her completely. He simply did not belong to her emergencies anymore. As the bus pulled in, nearby students went silent while she whispered her apology. Logan told her to keep being sorry later, then boarded. Behind him, her heavy silence did what her tears never could, telling the truth. Westbridge High released its official statement that afternoon, a masterpiece of complete evasion. It managed to say absolutely nothing, using perfectly polished official punctuation. They claimed to value student growth and promised to strengthen anti-fraud education. Tyler was never named, Morrison was ignored, and the deleted exit pass was forgotten. Logan's record was wrapped in a fog, so thick it deserved warning signs. Logan read the statement once before opening exit pass to write a new chapter. It described a school painting over wall cracks while rain poured through the ceiling. Logan used no names to keep things safe, writing about a very familiar teacher. The teacher was ordering a student to mop faster so visitors wouldn't spot the leak. Mr. Whitman reviewed the piece before it went live and cut one specific sentence. Too close to the truth or a lawsuit, it was a necessary survival detail. Still, he let the chapter publish, and Brookfield students understood it immediately. Within an hour, Westbridge High complained that Logan was attacking their honor. This was pretty wretch, coming from the people who had literally stolen his writing. The school board took notice as well, and Ms. Anderson brought the update. She announced that the upcoming talent showcase was now part of the school review. Board members were scheduled to attend the critical demonstration visit. Westbridge High was also invited to send their own representatives. The entire class erupted. Chloe spun around to tell him he was performing. Grace whispered about complete academic persecution. Emma's hand tightened around her pen as Logan looked at her. Logan asked Ms. Anderson what he was supposed to be doing. She replied that Mr. Whitman had submitted his name for a literature presentation. Because Logan was seen doing card tricks for Ryan last week, he got listed for a magic act. The entire class turned toward Logan as one body, and he stared back at the teacher. Her response was simple: stop doing it in public. Fine, magic, and literature, things were a complete circus. His grand stage was supposed to be built on hope, but look how quickly things shatter. For 6 hours it was, until Tyler Hayes learned enough to ruin himself. The first toxic rumor popped up in a Westbridge High chat. Then someone who loved chaos more than sleep quickly spread it to Brookfield. The rumors claimed Logan was using Emma's money to run a shameful store. Worse yet, they said Logan traded Madison for a much richer girl. Madison did not post it first, she was far too clever for that. Tyler pushed the first dirty version, and Brianna immediately amplified it. She joined in later with fake soft worry, acting concerned for him. That was her favorite weapon, stabbing with someone else's hand. Then she would bring bandages for the audience to see. Logan looked across the library at Emma, who still had no idea what was happening. Their clean ledger lay between them, suddenly vulnerable as his phone buzzed again. Ryan messaged him with bad news: the rumor had reached a parent group. Right then Emma's phone lit up on the table, and she looked down. Her face went completely pale as she whispered that her father was calling. The rumors claimed he drained Emma's family money to fund an online store. It was actually a pretty impressive lie because it used 2 real facts. First, Emma really had lent him money, and second, the store existed. But Tyler and Madison wrapped a toxic, dirty narrative around those facts. That nasty spin made Logan look like the kind of person he despised. He had spent 2 lifetimes hating people like that, and now her father arrived. The man did not storm in, which only made the situation feel worse. Serious men simply signed in, waited quietly, and let the heavy silence build. Ms. Anderson eventually found Logan standing just outside the library. She called his name with a completely serious voice. Emma's father was here. Emma stood beside her, pale but remarkably upright. The bracelet was on her wrist, her hands clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. Logan quickly closed his business dashboard on the computer while Mason looked up. Realizing there was a problem, Mason stood immediately, but Logan told him to stay. Mason argued that he was a witness if this involved the store, but Logan refused. He might need Mason later, but right now, too many boys looked bad. So Mason reluctantly sat back down, unhappy but willing to obey. Ms. Anderson quietly guided the teenagers to a small meeting room near the office. Emma's father stood up when they entered, wearing a dark coat and looking calm. That quiet demeanor proved he was fully prepared. He coldly addressed Logan Miller. Meeting Mr. Blake in person felt like stepping directly onto very thin ice. Before this, he was just Emma's father, but now he was Mr. Blake. Some adults arrive with their own punctuation. He immediately looked over at Emma. He told Emma to sit, ordering Logan to join her only after staring him down. Logan sat across from him as Ms. Anderson silently waited by the door. Leaving Emma alone to carry the entire weight, Mr. Blake placed a bank statement on the table with no dramatic slam, no raised voice either. Paper did. Enough damage on its own, that was worse. My daughter's card was used for it. Supplier payment, he said, a large one. The school rumors say you persuaded her to fund an online store selling highly inappropriate products. The accusation landed cleanly and coldly. Humor stopped, the store is legal, he explained. The product pages are totally non-explicit. Comfort apparel, clean descriptions, discreet shipping. But yes, he admitted, I accepted money from Emma for Inventory. Emma's father watched him. Why? There were many ways to answer that. Badly because the market was hot, because his future memories said the timing. Mattered because the supplier would not hold inventory. All true, yet completely useless if. He skipped the one thing that mattered, because he was short on cash, he admitted, because she offered, because he thought a ledger made the risk acceptable, and because he should have asked to speak with her father before accepting access to that card. Emma's eyes moved to him. Mr. Blake did not soften. Show me, so he opened his folder. The supplier quote, invoice, order dashboard, customer. Records with private details covered, wage notes from Mason, and a repayment schedule. Emma's savings were listed separately, the card amount capped to the supplier gap. The $300,000 limit was unused beyond that invoice he had made. The ledger to survive an angry father, and now we see if it actually works. Mr. Blake. Read every page, instantly firing off highly practical questions. How many orders? What refund? Rate? What supplier? What shipping delay? What was already repaid? What amount remained? What happens if sales collapse? The young man answered all of them with plain numbers, plain records, and zero of that magic second life confidence. Emma sat there beside him, breathing carefully. Finally, her father looked up. You are good with records, he said. I learn from people bad with facts. Ms. Anderson's eyes flicked toward him. Right, minimal jokes. He put his mouth back on a leash. Mr. Blake turned to Emma. Did he pressure you? Emma's fingers tightened around her bracelet. No. Did he ask for the card? No, she offered. Why? The room went very still. This was where Emma could hide behind him. This was where he wanted to protect her from having to explain her own trust like a defendant, but she did not hide because I trusted him, she said. Her voice was soft, but the words did not bend. Emma, her father said, but she continued. He repaid the gate money as promised. He wrote every debt down. He told me about the store when it was embarrassing. He helped Mason earn money instead of making fun of him. He warned everyone about Rockwell, even when Madison mocked him. She looked at him once, then back at her father, and when people laughed at me, he stood beside me. First, that sentence did something to the room. He had defended her before. But water, asked for apology notes, held her hand in a theater, writ ledgers like a terrified accountant with romantic damage, but hearing her say that made the entire situation feel much heavier. Mr. Blake leaned back. Trust does not erase risk, he said. I know, Emma answered. You should have called me, I know. He looked at him again. You should have refused until I was told. Yes, pride hated that answer, but honesty needed it. Mr. Blake gathered the papers, then pushed them back toward him. You will repay the card amount by the date written there, and he promises to send weekly records straight to Emma and Mr. Blake. He nods as Mr. Blake warns him not to take another dollar from Emma without asking first. After agreeing, the father demands that if the rumor spreads, his daughter must not face the heat alone. That is no business deal, and he promises Emma he won't. Mr. Blake's stern face does not soften, declaring he is not blessing this store. He never expected a ribbon anyway. Emma whimpers softly as her father glares at him. After a tense, agonizing pause, the man reluctantly agrees they can keep the schedule. Emma will perform at the showcase, and her tense shoulders finally relax. Mr. Blake's cold response to the smear becomes a clear deadline and a witness. It is a real chance, something he would take over fake approval any day. The upcoming showcase consumes the rest of the week as Brookfield High turns into a house of stage fright. Mr. Whitman reshuffles the literature order while Ms. Anderson guards rehearsal time like a border guard while schedules are taped onto every wall. Emma practices piano in the music room so hard that even the students who gossiped about her begin whispering respectfully outside her door. His own task is a brief magic act right before the literature presentation, apparently the only legal way to make Westbridge High vanish. Involves misdirection and stage lighting, though Mr. Whitman does not find that joke funny. He warns him not to make anyone disappear, but to make them look at the right thing. That is brilliant advice for a simple 3-card trick. One envelope, a deliberate mistake, and a sudden reveal. He is not trying to become a real magician, just building a metaphor with his sleeves and keeping the truth for the stage. Meanwhile, Ryan sends the old screenshots. Looking much cleaner now. It has Madison's initial message, her friend request, and the group mocking the scam warning, plus Brina's bitter jealousy claims. There is Tyler's new rumor too. Ryan also leaves a sarcastic voice note. He jokes about being a personal evidence delivery service, requesting 5 stars. The boy texts back offering 4 stars due to messy packaging, prompting Dramatic reply of betrayal from Ryan. Surprisingly, Chloe does not play drama. This time, she approaches Emma outside the music room, mentioning the ugly rumors circulating about the stolen money. Clutching her sheet music, Emma sadly agrees it is ugly. Chloe looks deeply uncomfortable, suddenly appearing much younger as she admits her past. Mistakes of spreading gossip too quickly, offering to help put an end to it. The apology is imperfect but useful. Emma tells her to stop it, and Chloe does. She confronts two classmates before lunch and embarrasses a third by loudly asking if his source is Tyler Hayes or his own imagination. For Chloe, that is community service with eyeliner. Mason continues studying and working hard between rehearsals, becoming alarmingly reliable, which makes everyone highly suspicious when Grace teases if he has been replaced by a better copy. Mason credits paid work and keeps taping boxes. Hope remains, but so does a trap. Tyler waits near the side entrance of the auditorium during rehearsals, flanking himself with two troublemakers from Westbridge High whom he easily recognizes. Madison stands just a few steps behind them, wearing anxiety like a heavy scarf. Quietly keeping her distance, she lets others do the dirty work. He spots the group first, watching closely before they notice him. Then came Mason, hauling a box of stage props and order slips because Logan's life was a complete mess. The guy stops right beside Logan, asking if he wants him to call Ms. Anderson. Logan says not yet, but when Mason offers to punch Tyler, Logan quickly shuts that down. Mason jokes Logan needs supervision, just as Chloe rounds the corner. She asks if they are recording, and Logan tells her only if things start getting ugly. Tyler spots them and smirks, asking if Logan is busy selling Emma's money. Mason immediately tenses up, but Logan keeps his hands completely relaxed at his sides. Logan asks if Tyler is still borrowing his father's authority. His smile twitches. One of Tyler's cronies snickers under his breath, and Tyler definitely does not like that. Tyler snaps back, calling Logan clever just because he found a rich girl to fund him. He claims Madison said Logan always needed a girl to feel important, while Madison looks away. She hides behind silence, but Logan notes she talks a lot when blaming others. Madison looks up sharply as Tyler takes a menacing step closer, demanding Logan say that again. Logan stands his ground, calmly repeating that Madison talks a lot when blaming others. Tyler raises his hand, baiting Logan to flinch, or even better, hoping Logan grabs him first. He wants a single messy second, so Dean Hayes can claim Logan has never changed. The old Logan would have taken the bait, but the new Logan is much smarter. He looks past Tyler's shoulder, pointing out the security camera above the door. He mentions Chloe's phone is recording on the left, and Mason's phone is on the right. Then he adds that Ms. Anderson is coming down the hall in about 3 seconds. Mason texted a teacher instead of fighting, and Tyler quickly spins around. Sure enough, Ms. Anderson is right there, alongside a venue security guard. Mason holds up his phone with a blank face, playing the worried friend. Tyler lowers his hand, and the security guard steps between them. Logan tells the guard that Tyler was just leaving. Tyler glares at Logan, then Mason, and finally at Chloe's actively recording phone. For once, Tyler has absolutely no way to blame his own violence on someone else. He came expecting a physical fight, but has to walk away in front of the cameras. Madison lingers for a moment, her eyes tearing up as her perfect facade begins to crack. She quietly asks if Logan really hates her, but Logan just shakes his head. He says he simply stopped auditioning for her, which instantly tightens her mouth. She snarls that everyone will believe he used Emma, first her, and now this rich girl. Suddenly, Ryan's voice bursts from the speakerphone with some glorious backup. Ryan laughs and says it is hilarious, holding all the receipts on her lies. He claims he still has the texts where she begged Logan to come save her. He lists the friend requests and the sketchy chats where Brianna called Logan jealous. He exposes her fake admission scheme and her desperate bus stop dinner invite. He reveals someone caught the public meetup on camera, leaving Madison completely speechless. Chloe whispers that Ryan is terrifyingly useful and definitely deserves a raise for this. Madison looks from the phone to Logan, completely out of soft, manipulative answers. Logan tells her to save her rehearsed speech for the stage performance. She asks if he wants to embarrass her, but Logan replies she did that herself. Ms. Anderson calls Logan's name in that warning tone, making him back off. The teacher agrees it is accurate, but still too much drama for school. Madison retreats with Tyler's group, but all the damning evidence remains with Logan. In proof that Tyler still wanted that old trap, that night the final pieces Clicked into place, Mr. Whitman approved the literature order. Emma rehearsed the piano piece once with the stage lights half on, her hand steady by the second page. Mason sent him a photo of finished order batches and a second photo of his physics worksheet because character development now came. With attachments, Chloe forwarded a list of who had repeated Tyler's rumor and who had corrected it. Ryan sent the clean screenshot folder with file names. So organized, he briefly wondered if fear had made him mature, then director. Marshall's office confirmed the next day's attendance list. Board. Representatives, Brookfield High teachers, Westbridge High. Representatives, parent observers, Emma's father, Tyler, Madison, Mr. Morrison, Dean Hayes. Everyone who needed the old story to survive would be. Sitting under the same lights, Logan stood backstage the next afternoon with 3 cards in his hand, 1 envelope in his pocket, and every fact arranged where it belonged. Emma waited near the piano bench, pale but upright. Mason stood near the side aisle with Chloe, both pretending they were not guarding the recording angles. Ryan had somehow secured a seat with the parent observers and sent one final text. Ryan Brooks' message: if you mess this up, I am charging overtime. Logan looked toward the front row. Dean Hayes sat beside Mr. Morrison. Tyler leaned back like he owned the air. Madison sat with her hands folded, face soft, ready to become a victim if the room allowed it. The stage manager lifted a hand. Lights warmed the curtain. The board watched. Showcase began. The stage lights came up, and every person who needed the old Logan Miller had front row access. He could feel the old trap from the curtain line. Tyler waiting for his fists, Madison waiting for sympathy, Mr. Morrison waiting for fog, and Dean Hayes waiting for one mistake he could file. Emma stood near the piano. Mason, Chloe, and Ryan held the angles and screenshots that made this stage safer than any office Westbridge High had ever owned. He walked to the center of the stage with 3 cards in one hand and 1 envelope in the other. His hands stayed visible. That mattered more than the trick. Good afternoon, he said. He was told to keep this short, educational, and not personally dangerous to any school's blood pressure. Mrs. Anderson closed her eyes. Mr. Whitman made a small movement like he wanted to walk into traffic. Director Marshall, sitting in the front row with the board representatives, smiled once. That counted as permission. He held up 3 cards. This is a simple trick about attention. The cards had 3 words on them: rumor, face, fact. Most people think magic is hiding the truth, he said. It is not. It is persuading people to stare at the wrong truth. He placed rumor in the middle, face on the left, fact on the right. Then he made the audience follow rumor. He turned it over, moved it once, let the card slip under his palm, and made one deliberately clumsy mistake. The room shifted when people thought they had caught him. That was the useful part of a trick. After all, people love catching an obvious mistake. It made them stop looking for the real one. He opened the envelope. Fact was inside. Rumor was still on the table, exactly where he'd had it. The students clapped. Students respect 2 things: free entertainment and a teacher. But he isn't finished. Logan bows slightly, a classic misdirection. They give you a loud rumor or a crying face to watch. Then the truth quietly slips away. The applause dies down. Logan looks at Mr. Morrison, remembering a lesson he once taught. He said Logan's attitude, not the facts, was the biggest issue. A soft murmur ripples through Brookfield High as Ryan's head drops. Logan knows he is laughing, recalling his reply to that teacher. He asked if ignoring facts could make him emperor. It didn't. Tragic. Now Mr. Morrison's fingers tighten around his program. This story is about students trying hard to protect their own future. Meanwhile, adults decide which convenient facts to feed them. No revenge. Honestly, what do you watch? The rumor, the face, or the truth? Mr. Whitman looks slightly relieved. Real progress by teacher standards. Logan picks up the envelope. Time to talk about the school. But first, he must clear a nasty rumor that hurt an innocent person. Emma looks up. The laughter stops. Emma Blake lent him money. It was to buy inventory for a fully legal online store. The rumor turned her into a joke, a wallet, and a dirty headline. None of it is true. Silence fills the room. Tyler shifts. Madison shoots Logan a look. Logan kept private product categories and customer details completely off screen. Instead, he projects a covered ledger page for everyone to see. Exactly as Mr. Blake reviewed it, it shows the transaction history. The payment schedule and protected data are all there. Emma's savings were entirely separate from her father's credit card. Store revenue goes directly to expenses. Logan takes no profit yet. Mason Cooper witnessed the physical count. Mr. Blake reviewed these exact records before Emma joined the showcase. He didn't smile, and Logan highly respected him for that. A protective, smiling father would be much more terrifying. Mr. Blake confirmed his daughter wasn't tricked. The debt is real. Logan remains on a strict repayment deadline. Then he sat down. Stern and deadly to gossip, Emma holds her sheet music tighter. But her shoulders are straight. Those are the facts, Logan says. Those who prefer the alternative should admit they love the rumor. Chloe looks toward the Brookfield Rose. Several people suddenly look down, deeply fascinated by their shoes. Then Madison stands. She wants the spotlight. Madison Cole never believed anyone else deserved the floor. With her voice trembling, she asks why Logan is doing this. She accuses him of humiliating the people who actually cared about him. The Queen Bee tries to regain control. Logan asks who actually cared. Her eyes well with tears. She did, before he changed completely. Before he started punishing her, Tyler watches him closely, hoping for a physical fight, but Logan keeps his composure. Logan placed his hands on the table. Madison, on the day Tyler blocked you in class. Did you send him a message asking for help? Her mouth opened, but no answer came. Out he nodded to the projector, showing the first screenshot with private numbers hidden, Madison's message, her timestamp, and his reply, the context that had sent him toward Tyler in his first life and nearly trapped him in the second. This came from his phone, Logan said. His mother and Mr. Morrison saw it as well. Mrs. Miller sat in the parent row with her hands in her lap. She did not stand because she did not need to, looking at Madison with absolute calm. It was the calm of a woman who decided not to waste any more tears. Madison whispered that she was scared. Logan agreed that part could indeed be true. But in the office, when Logan was asked why he approached Tyler, she claimed he followed her alone. Her lips trembled, stammering she did not know it would become this serious. Talk about a massive reality check, that first crack in her defense. But everyone in the room heard the lie. Director Marshall's pen immediately started moving. Across his notes, Logan clicked once, changing the screen to show Madison's later friend request, the bus stop dinner invitation, and the message pattern. Ryan had organized and labeled with the passion of a man who finally found a hobby paying in chaos. After Logan transferred and Brookfield High reposted the exit pass, Madison tried to reach him after the board video. She tried again when the scam warning proved true. She tried once more. Last night, after Tyler's rumors about Emma, she claimed people would believe he used Emma because he always needed someone. Madison's face drained of color. Ryan raised a hand from the parent section, like a student asking permission to go to the restroom. Director Marshall looked over, asking if he had something relevant. Standing up, Ryan confirmed he had sent the screenshot folder. In Westbridge High Homeroom 204, he also received messages from Mr. Morrison, asking him to persuade Logan to let Westbridge High clarify the novel issue quietly. Mr. Morrison stood up halfway, arguing that was not accurate. Ryan blinked, reminding his teacher he had sent him $60. The auditorium reacted with a sound that felt like collective choking. With shock, Ryan added he still kept the transfer record for evidence, along with some guilt but mostly evidence. Ms. Anderson pressed 2 fingers to her nose. Logan deeply appreciated loyal people, especially loyal allies armed with screenshots and terrible spending habits. Director Marshall turned to Mr. Morrison, ordering him to sit down. Mr. Morrison sat, looking much smaller than he ever did in Logan's old classroom. Madison stared at Ryan, then Logan. Tears were real now, but crying did not prove she was innocent. She sobbed, reminding Logan of his past promise. His old self would have broken over that. Now he only felt exhausted. He admitted liking her was his mistake, but her error was thinking his feelings were some public resource. No one clapped. That was fine. Those words were not for applause. Suddenly, Tyler shoved his chair back, shouting. He called him out for blaming her after getting rejected. The security guard in the aisle tenses up, while Mason shifts, getting ready. But still, Chloe lifts her phone, while onlookers trace Tyler's twitching hands. His eyes stay locked on Tyler Hayes, calling him out for trying so hard to make arguing about whether Logan would hit him just because Tyler wanted it. Tyler snapped. Logan simply agreed, a brutal bit of honesty that landed way harder than any heroic denial. He let the room digest that silence, wanting to strike and choosing not to. Are different facts. Next comes the side entrance footage, starting with Chloe's shaky angle. Shaky but clear, Tyler stepping closer, raising his hand as Logan's voice warns him. Logan points out the camera, followed by Mason's phone and Ms. Anderson's arrival. The guard steps in as Tyler leaves. Next up is Mason's angle. It is not pretty, but incredibly useful, recorded like a man collecting cold evidence. Not content, no stray thumb blocking the lens, a disturbing level of competence. But welcome, Tyler's expression crumbles as the footage plays, and Dean Hayes suddenly stands up. The dean claims this is just a private student conflict, being exaggerated. Director Marshall ignores Logan entirely, staring straight at the dean, pointing out that Tyler is his son. The dean's jaw tightens as he confirms it. Marshall asks if he handled Logan's original discipline. Back at Westbridge High, Dean Hayes stays completely silent. Silence is an answer too. Logan's mother finally stands up, her voice steady. She reveals that the dean forced Logan to write a reflection or leave the school. Tyler's role was never treated as a protected conflict, only Logan was targeted. Everything was pinned on her son. Logan's father stands up right beside her. They were there and heard it all. Dean Hayes sneers that parents get too emotional. Director Marshall's pen suddenly stops, so are Dean's, he counters. The front row freezes instantly, and honestly, that quiet comment hits worse than a scream. An authority figure just called out the truth in a room trained to ignore it. The dean slowly sinks back down. Tyler looks to his father for help. But for once, no rescue is coming. Logan clicks the remote to show the next slide. This time it is not Tyler on screen, it is a timeline of events. Westbridge High reposts the praise, then quickly deletes it. They find out Logan wrote it, and rumors spread that he copied the work. Mr. Morrison then asks other students to convince Logan to let the school clarify. Instead, Brookfield High publicizes the truth during an open class. Westbridge responds with a vague statement that names nobody and corrects nothing. Clean, boring, and absolutely lethal. Mr. Morrison claimed he was protecting students. Logan points out the hypocrisy. The dean called it simple discipline. Their public statement claimed they respected standard transfers, but those are just excuses. The truth is much simpler. Westbridge High wanted Logan's confession when he was a problem. But they wanted his novel the second he became useful to them. Mr. Morrison's voice cracks as he claims he was only trying to keep order. Senior year cannot become a theater for personal drama. Logan addresses him as teacher, without any sarcasm this time, placing the blame back on him. The school made it theater by demanding Logan apologize despite knowing the truth. Morrison flinches. Westbridge made it theater when they hid the truth. They chose to delete all the praise rather than admit Logan transferred. They made it theater by brushing off warnings about Rockwell as mere jealousy. While Brookfield High actually stepped up to protect their families, Logan is simply shining a brighter light on their actions. Ryan whispered stagecraft loudly. Someone near the back laughed, then quickly stopped. Director Marshall looked toward the Westbridge High representatives. He announced the review team would record everything before the visit closed. Westbridge High must submit a written correction, he insisted, never breaking his gaze. It had to address Logan Miller's transfer record and that deleted exit pass. Plus the handling of Tyler, Hayes' clear conflict of interest with his father. Dean Hayes must not participate in any review involving Logan or his son. Meanwhile, Mr. Morrison's senior teacher recommendation would be held pending an investigation. His heavy words landed one by one, hammering down on the room. Deleted records, conflict of interest, recommendations frozen. The atmosphere grew incredibly heavy. Cold official language instead of fireworks, and honestly, that quiet was way worse. The right words finally crushed the right people's toes. Tyler stood up, furious. You cannot do this just because of some stupid performance. A security guard stepped closer, but Director Marshall did not raise his voice. Sit down, he commanded. Tyler looked at his father, but Dean Hayes stayed frozen. Tyler sat. That was when Logan knew the old power structure had shattered completely. Madison wept, Morrison went pale, but the real fracture was yet to come. Tyler looked to his father for help and found only a cold, empty stare. Logan felt he should have enjoyed this victory more, but then he saw Emma. She stood by the piano, clutching sheet music, her bracelet catching the stage light. The investigation had cleared Logan's name, but the ugly rumors had already bruised her, dragging her family, her money, and her quiet dignity into a harsh public light. Revenge always looks clean from afar, but up close, it is a messy business. Logan stepped away from the projector and spoke her name softly. She looked up. He told her she did not have to say a single word. Logan fully expected her to just nod and quietly slip back to the piano. Instead, Emma stepped right into the center of the stage, drawing every eye. Even the classmates who used to whisper about her glasses suddenly fell completely silent. They realized they were watching a quiet girl finally decide to make her voice heard. She stood proudly beside Logan, not behind him, a tiny detail but absolutely massive. Facing the crowd, she clearly stated that she was the one who lent Logan money. Her voice trembled slightly at first, but she quickly steadied herself and continued. She confessed she had been terrified of her father's anger and public mockery. The room was dead silent. All the mocking whispers had completely vanished now. She touched her silver bracelet, declaring she was not tricked into making her choice. She explained how Logan documented every single debt and repaid what he promised. He protected her from whispers, helped Mason, and warned them about Rockwell's schemes. He stood up for her even when the entire school mocked him mercilessly. Her father watched from the crowd, his strict expression hiding a quiet pride. Emma turned her eyes toward Madison, firmly declaring she was nobody's replacement. Madison gasped in shock as Emma faced the crowd to introduce herself proudly. She was Emma Blake, a Brookfield pianist who made a calculated financial choice. If anyone wanted to mock her, she demanded they at least use her real name. Pure silence followed, then right on cue, Chloe boldly broke it with loud applause. Mason joined in next, clapping loudly and awkwardly to support her. Ryan joined in from the parents section, clapping like a man trying to escape his chores. The Brookfield High students followed, then the parents, and then even a few teachers who knew they should stay neutral, but just could not help themselves. Emma let out a breath. Logan did not touch her on stage yet. She had chosen to stand in the spotlight herself, and he would not steal her moment. As she walked to the piano, what was meant to be a simple transition became something much bigger. Emma sat down, adjusted the bench, and placed her hands on the keys. Her first notes sounded a bit stiff, but her shoulders soon relaxed. The music blossomed, starting soft before growing clear and strong enough to make the entire crowd forget about gossiping. Logan stood near the side, curtain just listening. In his past life, he had spent years remembering the girl whom everyone ignored, who only found her spark after he had ruined himself. But in this new life, he had found her before the applause ever started. He had seen her glasses, her nervous hands, her savings, and her belief in ledgers. And fresh starts, showing a quiet courage she did not even realize was beautiful. He thought he was just choosing a future, but somehow he had chosen the present. When the final note faded, Emma kept her hands on the keys 1 second. Too long before standing up, the applause erupted again, far louder this time. Director Marshall stood up first, followed by Dean Roberts. Mr. Blake clapped 3 times, exactly 3. Even now, stern fathers kept their routines. Emma looked at Logan. From the stage, he smiled back, a soft, gentle look meant only for her. Then came the paperwork, meetings, and adults pretending they valued fairness. Westbridge High posted an official correction the very next morning. It stated exit pass was Logan's original work, and the deleted repost had caused a misunderstanding. His transfer record would remain clean of discipline from the Tyler Hayes incident, and the school would review its disciplinary processes. The announcement was wrapped in polite, formal language that tried to sound harmless, but parents saw right through it. Now watch the fallout. Action, and his sports recommendation was frozen until the investigation finished. Dean Hayes was taken off the student discipline board immediately. Meanwhile, Mr. Morrison's senior teacher application ground to a halt. The school administration had finally found a way to enjoy the consequences of ignoring the truth. Ryan sent Logan screenshot of the Westbridge correction with a quick text. Ryan Brooks joked that Emperor Logan's decree had arrived, and Logan messaged back saying he preferred Your Majesty. Ryan just replied, pay him first. Some friendships only lasted because distance kept them from strangling each other. Madison tried to play the victim one last time, but screenshots kept spreading. Westbridge High Homeroom 204 stopped believing her tears. Automatically, Brianna moved on, and Tyler was too busy with his review to shield her anymore. Madison Cole sent a desperate text asking if he was happy now. Logan deleted the message without answering. Mercy had nothing to do with it. He was finally leaving a class he should never have joined. Willow Lace barely survived the holiday rush with Mason Cooper arguing politely with customers like each one was a major chore. Cost him a piece of his soul. The first major revenue settlement ended up straight in Emma's ledger while the rest paid wages, refunds, and the leftover card balance. Before the repayment deadline, Mr. Blake's card was cleared, and Logan immediately sent him the receipt. Mr. Blake replied that it was received, ordering weekly records to continue until the SAT. Emma read the message, laughed into her sleeve, and remarked her father liked records. Logan teased that her family expressed affection through audits and that she did the same through ledgers. It felt pretty unfair because of how incredibly accurate it was. Meanwhile, Mason cleared the scoreline set for him, acting like he had personally invented the concept of studying. Chloe congratulated him while pretending not to care at all. Surprisingly, Ryan did not transfer schools. He did something far more shocking by studying for 40 minutes straight without moving once. Ms. Anderson responded to his proof with just 3 simple words: more tomorrow. Again, teacher cruelty remained pretty universal. Meanwhile, Brookfield High's official demonstration school culture rating rose. The praise specifically highlighted literature development, student initiative, and anti-fraud responses. Balanced discipline and performance quality, but it skipped the part where half the review became a live autopsy of Westbridge High's face-saving habits. Official paperwork lacked poetry, which was why Exit Pass existed. The highly anticipated final chapter went live 2 nights later, leaving Madison, Tyler, and Mr. Morrison and Dean Hayes completely unnamed. Logan wrote about a student learning that the easiest person to sacrifice was always the one who kept volunteering. He wrote about a magic card trick, a piano bench, a ledger, and a stage where the truth finally stopped leaving the table. The comments instantly exploded, but he closed them after 10 minutes. The SAT was still coming. Second chances were never free, they took work with better information, so Logan kept up his simple daily routine, studying and updating, packing orders, repaying debts, and walking Emma to the bus stop. He paused when she wanted silence, teasing her when she looked too serious, and letting her tease him back when his low-key routine somehow got him standing beside board leaders in public photos like some humble disaster. One evening after self-study, Emma and Logan walked right past the Brookfield High Literature Board. The repost of Exit Pass remained firmly pinned there, looking older now and crowded by newer notices. Her piano showcase photo was now right beside it. In the picture, she sat at the bench under glowing stage lights with her back straight and hands poised, no longer hiding from the room. Emma quietly stared at the photo, admitting she was extremely nervous back then, noting that he had not held her hand. He glanced at her, saying she held her own ground. She looked down as the bracelet slid against her sleeve, and then she reached for his hand herself. The hallway held old posters, quiet windows, his ridiculous second chance, and Emma's fingers slipping between his, in the very school that gave him room to become someone else. The first time Tyler Hayes humiliated Madison Cole, Logan ruined his life trying to save her. This time he kept his hands in his pockets, refusing to protect the girl who used him as a shield, and somehow, with facts on the table, Emma beside him, and his entire future still ahead, he saved the only life that was actually his.